understand? I say, why now? That's my question.
Why now? It's just a question.
Why now is I do not accept it now.
You don't want it.
So when do you want it? After President tenure?
It should have been ever since. You have allowed Helen Johnson to be president for our country for 12 years for what? After she abated war, she told you she financed the war, and then they put her in power. Why now? Now that we are in charge, check the TLC report. What does it say? What does it depict? What are the conclusions concerning the TLC report? You've breached it already by allowing the past president to run and then assume power for 12 years. Then you coming to us now and talking to us as if we are fools. You think the Liberian people are fools? You want to bring commotion in our country? Let's take the wall and see what is happening out there. We, as the people's deputies, must take it to our people.
Okay.
Hold town hall meetings once, twice, thrice maximum, and discuss it with the people. And from what the people say, because we'll have the press there, we'll have some of you there. When I'm holding my meeting or my meetings, you will be there. I will hold a meeting down West Point. I will hold a meeting at the Newport Junior High School. I will hold a meeting down the PHP Center Street area. I will hold a minimum of 2 meetings, but I would like to go 3 big ones that will have people assembled that are residents of our district and tell us how they feel. If the people themselves say, well, we want a war crime code, somebody telling me that Gifty was making love to Peters in the car. Only Jesus can tell me that I will accept. Only Jesus. No CID, NSA, FBI report will make me to accept it. No kind of a report will make me to agree that Gifty Lama was in the car on Broad Street having sex. Whereas when we went there, I was there when police opened that vehicle.
Okay.
We noticed that there was sand in her shoes and on her feet.
Okay.
So the Broad Street place got sand now. Broad Street got sand. Where part of Broad Street is sand coming from? I refuse to accept that. Anybody wants to get angry with me, let them get angry with me. I refuse it any day, anytime.
Okay.
Gifty Lama never died on Broad Street. She died somewhere else. They were brought on Broad Street. I say so. I, Solomon Claudius George.
There was report that Peters and Lama died from carbon monoxide. No, George, this autopsy report. Where do you also stand on that report?
I just told you.
Yes.
Only Jesus Christ will say that to me and I accept. Don't keep opening old wounds. I am very hurt because of that report. That report is very incorrect. I refuse to accept it.
That people gave back that which they stole from the people to rebuild this country, to provide life. Today we are in a situation with this pandemic. Where do we stand? Where are the drugs? I mean, we just ride around here. Look at the misery in which people live. Look at the roads. You go to red light. Is that the kind of country that you want to be in? One of the things that I read and always touches me when they ask people what country you want to be born into. All of us want to go to beautiful places. I'm one person. Everything good I see elsewhere, I say I wish they were in Liberia. I do not enjoy things other countries. And so what do you want is to enjoy life in other people's country. When you come home, you can't even measure up. And why is that happening? Do we lack talent? No. We have a lot of talented people. Are people not working hard? They are. But should somebody else let the people just work and forever be at their gate? That's not a way of life. And so you should be able to account for that confidence that you say is reposing you to serve the people.
In the Bata community in Kakata Magibi County, we are the district lawmaker for District number 4, Representative Ben Fofana. Office space has become another Zogo zone because we have a couple of Zograns that are sitting there in the evening hours at least to get together and to meet and to burglarize citizens in Magibi County. And citizens have been expressing serious disenchantment. The Honorable Man Ben Fofana office, you yourself, as I'm speaking to you, even our listeners out there, you come, you see the office. The office is entirely bushy, no care. The Zogos, they're making use of the opportunity because they said, according to most of them I talked to, they said the Honorable Lawmaker is now preaching divisive politics in Magibi County since he doesn't got time for the office, and they themselves are looking for another office to establish a Zogo office. So they're using Ben Fofana office space in Kakata as another ground to be terrorizing citizens.
For how long have the office been abandoned?
The office has been abandoned, my brother and our listeners out there, for the past 3 to 4 months. Even right now, we just to the office space, as I'm speaking to you now, a lot of young men, a lot of youth that are not doing anything in society but taking into drug addicts. They can come there, they have their fine time there, they meet and they go around terrorizing peaceful citizens in the community, which is a threat.
How are residents in that area responding or reacting to the issue of Zogo occupying that particular office?
In fact, as a result of the call of some of the community members, including some elders in the community, they call on this proactive reporter to come and see what is going on, because according to them, they say the way the office is being used, the way the office is being misplaced, they are not happy, and their homes in the community are in serious stress. So as a result of this, they're sending an SOS call to the representative, Ben Fofana, and his team and national government to know that he took the office, and the office is in a community where thousands of people are residing. So if no longer is not making good use of the office space, but rather Zogos and Zograns are using the place to terrorize peaceful citizens, they themselves are planning a protest against him in the city. A lot of cases have been reported to the Liberia National Police Magibi detachment of the misuse of the office space. And as a result of this, community leaders, community members, of course, most of them now in Basa community where the office space is located are even planning to even meet the Kakata City Mayor and that of Magibi County Superintendent Jerry Vani and the Kakata City Mayor Emmanuel Gore to express their disenchantment, because they said they don't want to take the law into their hand, but rather they are calling on Honorable Ben Action Fofana, district lawmaker for district number 4 in Magibi County, to take responsibility and put the office into normal shape. And so that citizens gaining momentum in Magibi County, the incumbent Senator Oscar Alvin Cooper is on a turmoil, because according to news surrounding the senator office, says he doesn't stand any chance of winning this senatorial race because too many candidates are coming. But the most popular candidate amongst all of them is that of the former Director General of the Liberia Civil Aviation Authority, Honorable James Emmanuel Nukwe. And according to what political pundits are saying in Magibi County, they said they are quoting the Bible as saying many are called but few are choosing. So J. Emmanuel Nukwe is amongst those choosing ones to come and liberate them in Magibi County. And they pledge their overwhelming support to vote him as the next senator of Magibi County.
So what does that indicate, Wako, and how is Oscar Cooper responding to that?
Well, right now, Oscar Cooper is confused. We've seen him now, those things that he's supposed to do earlier before now, that is what he's doing. At least to speed up the completion of most of the projects to influence the hearts and minds of Magibians. And according to what the Magibians and Kakatonians are saying, expressing to this reporter here for ABC Radio, they said this time around they don't want that old system like you put in wine in an old bottle, but they want a new change, a new dawn in the politics of Magibi County, so that overwhelmingly endorsing as the
You remember there when you Costa were convincing my man we can't be here, we gotta go, we gotta leave the people in my man, let's try to go. When I received the call that you Costa were coming to leave because the police is getting ready to move in, you were aware that the police were moving in. Every information we're getting in, watch your tape. When you left, I said Costa, you need to come back. You ever came back? Because you took money. Now what you were telling me, say not leave, I told you I was not leaving. You think I'm not credible?
Yeah, the weekend.
180,000 in tax money from the Liberian government, for which he was dragged to court 2010. 2012, he was announced convicted. This is the man also condemned by FIFA as a fraudster. This is the man who is in the midst of the CPP, and the CPP is now throwing what I call a cordon sanitaire around him. Now, if you have a guy who is a potential contaminant and you have it in your midst, what do you think will happen? He will contaminate everybody. You know, this man is a walking corruption virus. Anything he comes in contact with, anything he touches, he contaminates. the CPP will be contaminated very soon because my own Liberty Party is now contaminated. People in the Liberty Party who took Peacock Trust from Ability today, they are defending him up and down the country. They are defending, even though they know Mr. Ability was condemned by FIFA for 10 years as a fraudster. Even though they know Mr. Ability was convicted of tax evasion, fraud.
Gabriel had to go see to the mainland too.
Oh, so the man wanted for you to go steal from the web post too?
Yeah. He said, I'm a join to go steal to the web mainland too. They get money to the store, they will go take it from there. I said, my man, how many bars for the same leisure?
Then how can the police catch you now?
The police people? Before the man called me back. Now on the 18th, they more.
The same man now?
Yeah, the same man.
The same man who want for you to go steal?
Yeah, he called me on the 18th.
Yeah.
Now in the night, around about 8:30, the man called me. He said, oh, my man, I'll let you be there and call you back again.
So that time you go to where?
I go to where?
You live from a working place, you come to the man?
Yeah, I'm from my working area to Clarence to now go to the man.
To go steal now?
No, I'm not go steal. I go Steve. I go to yeah. How you question me, man? The thing you want for me to explain for you to understand, then still questioning me, doubling the question. How many talk clear now?
Okay, let's go now. I beg you, sorry.
I see.
When they call you in the night now.
When the man call me in the night.
Yeah.
He asked me, say, how many of you are working to the area? I say we are 3.
You told the message you're 3.
Yeah. So he said, I want to give you tea to carry to the
message you want to give you what?
Tea. Have milk tea. Have milk tea.
Oh, milk tea?
Yeah.
For you to drink?
With bread.
With bread.
3 pieces of fruit bread.
With egg inside?
With egg inside, my butter. So when I carry it to the man, say carry to the man. When you give it to the man, then you must come back to the car.
So the food the man give you now, you carry that so you can go convince your friend now.
Yeah. When I give it to the man, the man say thank you. I say okay. The man say, oh, where you going now? I say, oh, I'm going right here. So one of my friends called me.
Yeah, the same man you going to now.
Yeah, the same man.
And the man tell you say he want for you to go steal.
No, yeah. So when I go to the man, he say clean the car. Then they are 2 now.
In the Jeep.
In the Jeep. Then they are 2.
A big Jeep.
Yeah. Black big Jeep. 4 doggy.
4 doggy.
Yeah. So when I clean the car now.
Air condition all inside.
No. Papi, you can't wait for me to spin now. I'll leave the whole town now. You can judge people.
I just asking you a question, sorry.
You can judge people like you come here.
No, I'm a journalist. I beg you, sorry.
The way you double in the question, because I say when I move from here, I'll free. You say when I move from here, I'll free. I'm you say one talk again. I wanted to mean whole talk clear to you, but you double in the question. Hi, land looking, hi, looking. Then you want force another more word there again. Why not be looking to the top? I'm not going to again. And said they call me to the office. I go explain.
I think you explain to me that you come to get there. You say you carry the tea to the man. After you carry the tea to the man, you come now. So what next now?
And for me, I will not there.
Nobody, you getting very. You say asking you too much question. Hey, just explain things. Say they make your egg and bread. You bring it. Okay, sorry. Now I say sorry now. Okay, sorry.
If you
I will not ask you the question again. Okay, sorry.
When I give you answer now, then you.
Okay, explain again. I'm not asking you no more question again. Okay, let's go ahead now.
Go to school. The English say I need the English.
Okay, sorry. Now I say sorry now. Sorry.
Say Ali, you take time. You take time.
I'm taking time. Okay, sorry. Okay.
I said I can take time to
party.
Yeah, everything I do, we must first tell the thing to the people.
That's what I'm saying.
And we've been doing that. We have people cleaning the champagne in our various communities. No, in social science, said, we go to people and ask them what the name. And so you poison them to say, I name this. But if you don't ask your people, then what do you carry to them? So before I ask them what the name, and what the name that we take them to them.
Your 3 major priorities.
Right now, if you look at I'm a teacher in profession.
You teacher?
Yeah, I'm a teacher. The second thing is that we want the boroughs autonomous.
The boroughs what?
It's autonomous. Yeah, it's autonomous.
Go ahead.
And we look at some of the things we have to consider because we talk about autonomous. That means you have a lot of facility, a lot of things that you should do in the borough, and what it means that we take them to them.
Your 3 major priorities.
Right now, if you look at I'm a teacher in profession.
You teacher?
Yeah, I'm a teacher. The second thing is that we want the boroughs autonomous.
The Boris what?
It's autonomous. It's autonomous. Yeah, it's autonomous.
Go ahead.
And we look at some of the things we have to consider because we talk about autonomous. That means you have a lot of facility, a lot of things that you should do in the borough. And if you are autonomous and you have other things to do, and if you look at Nukuta, many young people are graduated from college in the district. Right now, the first thing we embarked was to have a reconciliation regional meeting all of the communities. Really.
So Tia, at what level were you teaching? Was it elementary, junior high, or senior high?
We're taking elementary divisions.
Oh, okay.
Elementary division. And we're credible, we are more accessible, and we're development oriented. So
hello, Robert B. Tier. Robert B. Tier is a librarian. After our graduation from the elementary school, we keep the Murray Road to attend the junior high school, the Pasadena Junior High School, and from there we went to Central High and we graduated 1998. I'm a teacher in professions. Robert here is one of the daughter's son.
Elementary, junior high, or senior high?
We're taking elementary divisions.
Oh, okay.
Elementary division. And we're credible, we are more accessible, and we're development oriented. So
hello, Robert B. Tier. Robert B. Tier is a librarian. After our graduation from the elementary school, we keep the Murray Road to attend the junior high school, the Pasadena Junior High School, and from there we went to Central High and we graduated 1998. I'm a teacher in professions.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Antonio, Miss Royalty Baby, and I want everyone in Liberia to know that I love listening to
105.1 FM.
That's what I'm saying.
Montserrat, Homie, Kipman, Wapulu, Mangibi, Home, and everywhere you go. This is ABC Radio 105.1 FM.
I name this.
I like it. So girl, I love the way you roll it. See how you control it. You done make me come back for more. Hey, oh more, I love the way you roll it. Love it, just control it. Cause you know what I'm looking for. Hey, as we step into the club, see how people just enjoy. They say Victor and Paul, you guys are keeping it so strong. See, we no go ever stop. We are headed to the top as the music they go. Then all of a sudden, see this girl they eye me, yeah. Looking so inviting. I know they say she try me. Can't imagine, her body's so tempting. Girl, I love the way you roll it. See how you control it. You can make me come back for more. I love the way you roll it. I love it, just control it. Cause you know what I'm looking for. You're making me want you so. So, no blame me if I misbehave by losing control. And no matter how I go, this girl where I like it. So
oh yes.
Girl, I love the way you roll it. See how you control it. You done make me come back for more. Oh more, I love the way you roll it. I love it, just control it. Cause you know what I'm looking for. As we step into the club, see how people just enjoy. They say Victor and Paul, you guys are keeping it so strong. See, we no go ever stop. We are headed to the.
Oh yes, good morning. Good morning from the nation's capital, Monrovia. Welcome to another fascinating presentation of the Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1. And today is Tuesday, the 18th day of April 2023. What a pleasant way. I'd like to welcome you to the program this morning. On the bright and the early morning in Liberia. It's another day in Liberia, and I'd like to welcome you to the program this morning. And of course, you know I'm not here alone. My partner is here with me, Denise Nipson. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning, Fidel.
And how was your night?
Yeah, I had a restful night. It was wonderful, and it's great to be back this morning. How was yours?
Oh, well, I had a great night. Short sleep, by the way. And you know the reason why I did not sleep that long. But be as it may, that's the nature of the job, and we'll always have to be prepared.
Sure.
Okay, that's good. And who is your butler? Who actually dresses you? I mean, yeah, I mean, Smith, just show the camera to Denise this morning. Denise is always speak and span, as the people call it. Yeah, I mean,
perhaps I have a taste of good thing.
Okay, yeah. You are fashionista.
That's it.
Yeah, okay, that's good. She's Denise Nipson, my partner here on the show this morning, and as always. And so it promises to be a great presentation this morning. Out of the trending issues that you've been hearing, at least we've done our investigation. We've brought out some facts, and we are armed enough to discuss most of those issues because we have leverage over them. What is going on with Unity Party political leader Joseph Boakai? We'll be telling you this morning. And after the summoning by the Civil Law Code of Liberia, we delve into that this morning on the program. And as usual, we'll go across the country and speak with our correspondents in other parts of the country to find out what's going on there in those parts of Liberia. And then I will bring you our motivational quote, our African proverb. And you know the National Elections Commission has released a first report on the biometric voter registration exercise. We'll look into the figures and see whether those figures make sense as far as the registration process was concerned and all of the difficulties that occasioned the registration process. Then at 9 o'clock, who are we having, Denise?
We are having our Samuel Jackson, Liberian economist, right, and politician. So he will be here on the second segment of the program, and we will be discussing a lot of issues as it relates to national development.
Exactly, Denise. And so that's how the menu looks like this morning. But before then, let's bring you our motivational quote. And it says, do what you can with what you have, where you are. And that's Theodore Roosevelt.
That's a powerful one.
Powerful one, Denise. It says, do what you can with what you have, where you are.
Where you are. And that validates a quote, or let's say my personal quote, like I always say, it is not how far you go, but it's the impact you make to where you are that takes you or bring whatsoever you achieve. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's it.
That's it. And so the African proverb says, even the best dancer on the stage must retire sometime. Even the best dancer on the stage must retire sometime. Yeah. So you can't keep dancing and you make the people bored.
No.
You must leave the stage when it's time to.
Yes, meaning you also have to have successors. You have to make a legacy, for people to come after you.
So, yeah, that's it. And so let's go to Denise Nipson right now. Denise, let's find out how is the traffic like in the Painesville end.
Yeah, Fidel, like I said on yesterday, the traffic as it relates to the road construction, at the Elwa Junction, usually we call it ELW Junction, that place has become
traffic zone.
Yeah, traffic zone, a messy traffic zone right now because they have started the area around the LRA, so the traffic now, there's roadblock from that end. So everyone come leaving from the RRA side, Dubois Road side, you know, using the road towards the SD Cooper Road. So if you coming from the RRA end, from the president former area rehab from rehab end, you know, there's always traffic at the intersection that be due to the road work as well, and the intersections that are right around the area. So you have to look up for traffic at that end, and also from the end to the ERW junction, you have to ensure that you know, cross that end at the SD Cooper Road end, because there's traffic now at this point due to the road construction. So there's traffic at that end, meaning you have to wake up early in the morning before 7 a.m. because if it's 7 a.m. like I usually say, or after 7 a.m. yes, you on your own OYO. So you have to ensure that you pass those intersections, the SD Cooper Road intersection, the Boulevard Junction, as well as the 540 end. There's always huge traffic congestion as it relates to the influx of vehicles that ply that road. Also at the 20th Street end and the Catholic Junction. These are major points that, you know, you have to look out for traffic congestion in the morning if it is after 7 or a few minutes after, you know, 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it right there. The traffic alert from the Pinsville and from the Bourgeois Island and St. Paul Bridge. Of course, when you come and be aware of the traffic around the St. Paul Bridge end. All right, be aware of the traffic as you approach the beer factory and just at the Momotown Junction. You should be aware of the traffic there, and as you turn left towards through Momotown, that is, as you approach the Carwell Bridge, there's traffic there as well. So you have to be aware. And if you're coming from Carwell, New Jersey Junction, towards the Carwell Bridge, there's traffic there. And as you leaving from Douala through Carwell Junction to Freeport, around the Freeport end, of course, there's traffic congestion. There's a detour there for those who are coming from town at this hour of the day. They have to use the Jamaica Road side. All right, and those who are coming towards Monrovia must use the route from Douala Street toward Freeport. And as you approach the Clarendon end, of course, there's a bit of traffic. Be aware of that. And the Gabriel Tucker Bridge, obviously, there's traffic there as usual. And so you have to be aware of that. All right. So across the Somalia Drive end, if you're leaving from the 72nd end to use the Tottenham Boulevard, all right, you also have to be aware of traffic at the SKD Boulevard end.
Yeah.
And if you coming through the Japanese freeway, you have to be aware of traffic at New Georgia Junction and at Bartonsville Junction. All right, those two places always have a bit of traffic as you approach those ends. All right, so those are our traffic alerts this morning, and let's recognize the birthdays of very important individuals. Emmanuel Red, in the office of Senator Abraham Darius DeLong, he celebrates his birthday on today. Emmanuel, happy birthday to you. And my own little brother Eugene Sadie celebrates his birthday on today. Happy birthday to you, little brother. And yeah, he celebrates his birthday today. And my sister Mick Walkway also celebrates her birthday on today. Happy birthday to all of you and all of our birthday celebrants.
And also I'd like to say happy birthday to Magoni Knightley.
Okay.
Yes, she celebrates her birthday as well today.
Okay, good. So all of the celebrants today, we wish you all of the best. Those who celebrate on April 18 today, you are blessed. Continuing to do what you have to do for your lives, and invite God into your life and let Him direct your path. Okay, so that's it this morning on the Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1. What do we do next, Dennis? Go across the country.
Yes, our correspondents.
Let's get to our correspondents right now across the country and speak with them and find out what's exactly going on in other parts of Liberia, beginning with Grand Bassa County, where our main priest Yukon J. Wamplu is. And by the way, if you want to follow us on social media, just search for ABC Radio 105.1 official, and you can also download the Radio King app. The Radio King app on your Apple Play Store or your Google Play Store. You can download the Radio King app. Just RADROKING, Radio King. download that app and search for ABC Radio Official and get us live on your phone via the internet, so you can be any part of the world and monitor ABC Radio 105.1. Now let's run to Grand Bassa County, where our man Prince Yukonje Wamplu is in the post city of Buchanan. Nathan trying to get to, but let's get to our man Prince Wamplu. Good morning, Prince.
Good morning, Fidel, and good morning to your co-host. Good morning to our many listeners.
How is the post city this morning?
Good to start. Sunshine this morning in the post city of Buchanan. That is coupled with the breeze from the Atlantic Ocean.
That's good. Encapsulate what we have here, the morning breeze on ABC Radio. Now tell us, Prince, what's going on in Grand Bassa County?
Well, a middle-aged man identified as UJ Wutterveen got killed by his friend Jay Martins as a result of a refusal to register on the Ludo Bowl. That led to the argument, and later on, the accused Jay Martin used a stick and knocked at the back of the head of UJ Wutterveen, and this incident occurred in Buchanan City Coconut Plantation. Coconut Plantation. What at the Ludo Bowl is almost like a kind of ball game where they go normally and then register and participate in the league play game. But during this occasion, UJ who have not registered had gone to play on the bowl, and Jay Martins refused that he play. But usually, according to what we established, is this jovial guy and is often in alcohol. So he persuaded Jay Martins and finally started to play. While in the process, a confusion broke up, and it was alleged that UJ allegedly abused Jay Martin's mother. So Jay Martin left the Ludo Bowl later on and went for a stick. And unknown to Wutterveen from the back, he knocked Wutterveen at the back of the head. And Wutterveen dropped, and instantly he was taken to Monrovia for medication. A few hours later, he passed out. But Jay Martin is on the run. Jay Martin is on the run. Since the incident occurred over the weekend in Buchanan City, Jay Martin is on the run. And police have considered him wanted in Buchanan City for said incident.
Now, I mean, though it is tradition that these guys gather around the Ludo Bowl, and that it is also customary that each individual playing on the bowl registers, what are the witnesses saying who have been responsible for this fracas, aside from someone insulting another person's mother? Have they had any kind of confrontation before?
What the part of the Ludo game is also considered betting, and one kind of what we established is that they normally bet on this board, and usually who is not a registered member of the board, whenever he convinced them to play, he's that lucky guy who often eat the money of Jay Martin, and they're mocking in the form of considering him as the best player. So Jay Martin had this in mind, according to what we established. And so that's why when UJ came this time around to register, he said to play. He said he's not a registered member. He should not play. But all of that Ryan knew that UJ's a local guy, so they allowed UJ to participate in the process. But there's nothing like a retainer got other than the betting process that often takes place on the Ludo Bowl.
Okay, so I mean, how have there been any news of the nature of such keys in any part of Grand Bassa before, or in the past recent time?
Sure. It took place in Electoral District number 5. Was a year ago when the guy who considered as one of the notorious criminals escorted at the Upper Buchanan Central Prison, 15-year imprisonment. Was identified as Seco Solo. Similar thing happened with in Electoral District number 5 before, but since then, this is the second major event in 2 years period.
Okay. Any other thing we need to know from Grand Bassa?
So yesterday, the former Minister of Gender, who is also an aspirant in Buchanan District election, raised the issue of the Coastal Defense Project that we started yesterday. And then addressing the press, he said that it's very major. Buchanan City is gradually leaving, is wearing away by the ocean, and she called on all leaders, ambassadors, be it you from the ruling establishment or from opposition, is a need that the people of Grand Bassa come together and make sure that coastal defense issue be addressed, because Buchanan City is gradually leaving. So, Fidel, if you told Buchanan City, the sea is now turning towards the Tottenham Creek area from Fairground community is far away a little bit, but the Ophir community, Central Buchanan, New Barrack, Otisport, are not just too far from the Atlantic Ocean. And before then, there was a very long route to go to the Atlantic Beach. But then it's something that's very easy now. People seeing it from this. The cemetery that just right side is gradually wearing away from the Atlantic Ocean. So it's calling for all hands on deck so that we'll be able to solve the issue of the sea erosion.
Okay, so it appears like a bit of solution is almost at hand in the coastal defense area in the Grand Basin.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you so much, Prince. Thank you so much for getting in contact with us this morning.
Always a pleasure, Fidel.
Okay, let's go to our man Nathan Colley in Bond County and find out what's going on in that central part of Liberia. What is the trending issue in central Liberia, Banga City, Grand Bassa County? Let's find out quickly from Nathan Colley. But as you've heard, the tradition to register on the Ludubo, Dennis. The pussy register.
So I think
it's no justification for somebody killing another person. Let's get to our man Nathan Colley in central Liberia. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, William. Good morning to the entire force.
So this is Fidel and Denise. This is now William.
Nathan, are you hearing Denise?
Yeah.
No W in my name, my brother. All right, but let's hear you, Nathan. What's going on in the in central Liberia?
Our central Liberia is from specifically central Banga, where I reside in the area of okay. And we have a very pleasant weather this morning.
Okay, that's good. Now tell us what's happening in that part of the country.
Yes, you may be aware that the senatorial region, one thing that people really are seeing, even though the representative seats are important, but people look at the senatorial region because businessmen, Tony K.P. Sino and Elo Kavia. So one of the local radio stations in Bond County, Super Bond Radio, conducted an opinion poll, and Johnny P. 1455 votes. The incumbent senator Dr. Henry Toba got 46 votes, and the representative aspirant Elo Kafia also 1431 votes, and former Bond County Superintendent Rennie Banama Jackson also got 4 votes, and Mokana Fumo Gino got 0 vote, and
okay, but let's forget about the insignificant figure. Let's get to the big one, especially
really Banga, one of the older model station in the country, considered opinion pool, and Elo Cavias won that opinion pool 44 and Johnny King 40. So I didn't have the chances like 80 or 75 chances. And one thing, most of the people were like saying some of the citizens say, but Johnny is a very good man, but the horse has sending me experience and wisdom people, and Johnny is just a business man, and he could not be a good dealer, even though he can do some donation, help people with personal issue, but the issue of the horse has sending me experience and mature people in the horse of sending. And one person they figure out is the person or the former Bond County Superintendent Rennie Banama Jackson, during a training only leadership in constructed the superintendent compound where the county fee was in all the fence the county fee. So only was a superintendent the landlord development board. Surprisingly, if they're talking about some of the opinion pool, he has lesser number than compared to Johnny P and Elo Kafia. And one thing people say on Elo Kafia could be a very good senator, but people say that why should one person will be able to get 21 years serving, and he is not the only person that qualified to have the job. So they have several issues, and the incumbent Senator Topa, people also question that they say, but since he was elected, he was elected during the by-election 2018, he has not been able to work because he promised they're going to unite the caucus He did not do that. He promised to bring a Jewish company in the country, and he has failed. So they say it's better to have.
Yeah, Baccleville is good. The weather condition here is welcoming. Everything is going well this morning.
That's good. Now tell us what's happening in Grand Cruz City. Grand Cruz County, sorry.
Well, for Grand Cruz County, you know, as it was reported that the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia paid a visit in Grand Cruz County. Well, when she came to Baccleville, that is the capital city of Grand Cruz, she took up initiative. She visited the mother school of the county, that is the Baccleville Central High School, and provided 200,000 placing 72 females on a scholarship program at the school. Yeah. So now for the scholarship program, she provided 200,000 to the school administration, especially as the principal of the Baccleville Central High School, and then she added 72 students, 72 females to be part of her scholarship program in Baccleville City, which of course parents of the students were all present. Students from the J.J. Dixon Adam Methodist High School and other schools were there present, and they have expressed joy over the kind gesture of the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. Then she didn't stop there. She went also to the South Stam, that is the home of the President Dr. George Manawea. When she got there, she took a responsibility of paying the school fees of all of the students, about 100 students at the Southern High School, all of the 100 female students at Southern High School. She took up the initiative of being responsible for the school fees for this academic 2022-2023 school year.
Okay, that's good. Now, I mean, what were the responses from beneficiaries of the Vice President's magnanimity?
Yeah, so with that, we conducted interview with beneficiaries, especially the high schools students, those in the 12th grade, and they have expressed joy over the kind gesture of the Vice President. Something they said was, you know, educating the character is like a benefit to the society, wherein they even reference most of the successful women today in the government, like the former President of the Republic of Liberia, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, wherein she's our society is benefiting from her. She's taking up a lot of initiative to make sure that other people, other struggling people in the country are aided. Just the same as the Vice President now supporting struggling students that are financially challenged, you know, to help them come up from the education sector, because money today in Liberia and Grand Cruz, most of the girls they give a lot of excuses, even the sharpness. Some of the girls here, they are not outspoken. With that, if they are financially challenged, they found a lot of excuses. Oh, I don't have money to go to school and all of that. I think it is one of the reasons why the Vice President took up the initiative to sponsor female students at the various high schools in Grand Cruz County, and they have embraced the idea. They struck me as an opportunity and motivation, the best way that they can achieve their education and benefit the society tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Frederick. It was nice having you on the program this morning.
It is my pleasure, and thanks for the call.
Okay, he's our man Frederick Coleman there in Grand Cruz County. Let's roll to Lofa County quickly and speak with Samuel Bole in Lofa County and find out, thanks to the Vice President of Liberia for intervening. And by the way, in Grand Cruz County, it was recorded that there are more female enrollment in that county as opposed to their male counterpart, and it's because the mining business in Grand Cruz, Dennis, all the young guys want to go to the gold mine, make money, and, you know, and come and bluff in Baccleville. So the enrollment of male students have dropped, and the female students are ahead in terms of numbers.
Let the females be learning why did their deacon go on.
They will about to go from you more. At least you could convince them for a period of time, but at least not all of the time. But yeah, so that's it. There's low enrollment of male in Grand Crew County as opposed to females. So the females are learning. They are going to school, and I think this will even serve as an impetus to make them stay in school.
Sure.
Because when you enter school, retention is another thing. That is being able to stay in school. So all of those things that will facilitate your being in school and stay in school are very important. So kudos to the vice president. But let's go to Lofa. We can get our man from Lofa, and I think we go to Margibi County before Walcott Kiri holds me in contempt. Let me get to my man Walcott Kiri. The man who speaks for the Kakatonians and the Margibians. Let's get to Walcott Kiri in Margibi County. This is the Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1. Kindly share the video, follow our page, and get instant notifications on what's happening here at ABC Radio. Our man Walcott Kiri is on the line. Walcott, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, and a pleasure. Good morning to all of our listeners.
Where are you this early morning, Walcott?
Yeah, too much noise.
I am on the main street of Kakara City, observing situation between that of the marketers, the Liberian National Police, and the Kakata City Corporation as they are battling a battle for supremacy as to who owns the street.
Battle for supremacy. But Walcott, why should there be a battle for supremacy when each individual knows his or her role?
Well, the three sectors are stretching muscles as to who owning the streets, as the Kakata City Corporation and that of the Liberian National Police are telling marketers to leave the street and relocating them to the Kakata General Market, and most of the marketers are refusing to leave the street. Reason being, they said, these proper economic hard times in our country history under President George Manuel leadership, they are catching a hell, so going in the market, how much people will go in the market at least to buy, so they rather stay on the sidewall of the main street, which is a potential death trap to them, as by the Kakata City Corporation and that of the Liberian National Police. They are begging them to leave the street and they're refusing to go. So it's a battle for supremacy as to who owns the street.
Okay, Walcott. Now, I mean, what is the police doing now? Now the marketers have refused to leave the streets. What action are they taking?
Well, the police headed by its commander here, Dixon Paul Kemokai, though the OPS is bereaved, but he lost his mother in Lofa County, but notwithstanding they are performing the professional policing duty, giving a helping hand to the Kakata City Corporation, together with its Mayor Emmanuel Gore, to ensure that politely and gently talking to marketers to see the reason, because according to what they are saying, they said if they continue to be on the sidewall of the street, it is a potential death trap to them. The vehicle, we are not wishing for that, God forbid, but a vehicle may lose control and run into some of these marketers. So as a result of this, they don't want such disaster to happen, especially at these critical times when we are about to approach our elections in the country. So they are calling on them, talking to them to leave the street, but marketers are refusing. They said they don't want to go in the Kakata General Market, and not many people will go there to buy from them, and most of them have been in the habit of selling on the sidewall of the street, and most people know them, most of their customers know them. So for them to automatically go in the Kakata General Market, they see it difficult.
Walcott, has they been able to speak with the head of the marketing association?
Yeah, I spoke to Madam Seba Kokoro. She herself expressed the same view together with the Liberian National Police and that of the Kakata City Corporation. And according to Madam Seba Kokoro, she said they will soon put out task force that will rigorously enforce the removal of marketers on the main street or the sidewall of the street, to send them to the Kakata General Market. And she appreciated some of the marketers who, for the sake of as peace and development have gone into the Kakata general market at least to sell, and they have given them spots to sell. But those who refusing, according to Madam Seba Kuklu, the new superintendent of the Libra Marketing Association for Magibi County, says they will leave no stone unturned, but rather implement the law to the fullest.
Okay. Is the market in a good condition that can contain all of those who are selling on the street?
Well, the market, yes, to speak to that, the market is in good condition, but notwithstanding, national government and even the Libra Marketing Association need to create some additional space. Of course, there are space there, but no market kitchen built rather than the one that is already there. So for this reason, the place is congested and the place is tight. But notwithstanding, the Libra Marketing Association, that of the Libra Police and the Kakata City Corporation, they are saying they want to prevent and protect the lives of our valued citizens, especially the marketers, and calling on them to forgo all of those things, and they are working on it according to them, at least in the subsequent time, to address those issues. But for now, let them leave the street. And even when the president Model Kid and that of the vice president Model Kid are passing, going to Banga and other places using Kakata, they find it difficult at some point in time. So for this reason, all of those factors are considered, and they are calling on them to leave the street and go to the Kakata general market to do their marketing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Wakat. Again, it's nice having you on the program this morning.
Thank you so much. I'm still watching the battle for supremacy as to who owns the street, as they are very robust in carrying polite talking to the marketers to leave the streets.
Okay, thank you so much. Wakat Kiri there. Battle for supremacy in the streets of Kakata City. Our man, Wakat Kiri. The way Wakat can see the thing that he can make me laugh. Battle for supremacy. The marketers and the police.
And that's a serious issue, Fidel. We have similar issue at the red light market as well, and all of our markets, you know, facing the same problem.
And the LMA has to work with the police, all right, to ensure that they work hand in hand, so that these issues are resolved, because at the end of the day, they are all serving the public's purpose, and they are all of service to the public. So they all have to make sure that the job is done, and to do that, they have to work collaboratively.
And the buyers too, those who are going to the market to buy also play a major role in this. I say this to say, if the people are selling on the street and you say, no, I'm not going to buy from those who are on the street, I will go into the market hall to buy, everyone will leave from the street. Exactly. But people they want to buy immediately.
That's what you get from the back.
Yes. So those who are in the market hall, they themselves will want to come on the street because they are not giving them the chance to, to sell their goods. So it is important that buyers as well, try to go into the market hall to buy, so that those who selling on the street can be, removed from there.
The same thing happens in Douala. People come on the road, on the main road.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunate, and I hope that the police and the LMA can work together for the safety of our people. Well, folks, Denise, I sent you something.
Yeah.
That's it right here on the correspondence segment of the morning show this morning. We have some important issues to discuss. We'll look into the National Elections Commission, and yesterday the chairperson David Eto Brown Lasana, there were figures released by the NEC, the number of registrants, the total number of females and males, and the numbers in the first phase, six of Liberia's 15 counties that participated in phase 1 of the biometric voter registration exercise.
Yeah.
All right, there are some figures. I don't know whether you have those figures before you.
No, I don't have it now.
Okay, right now, but there are some figures that were released by the National Elections Commission. I think I have them right here with me, and I think it's important that our people get to know, because it is the trump card as we go to these elections.
Yeah.
That will be the basis on which political party will file claims. All right.
I think million
Yeah,
1 million.
1 million. Yeah.
Total
registrants. That would be the basis on which. Okay, I think I have it right before me here. We had a total of. Sorry. Okay, I got it right here. All right, we had 7 for females now. We have 711,110 registrants, females.
Yeah.
And then we have males 723,799 registrants for males. And the total number of registrants, it's 1,435,209 registrants in the 6 counties who participated in phase 1 of the exercise. And those 6 counties include Bombing, Bapolo, Grand Bassa, Grand Cape Mount, Margibi, and Montserrado. Now, it is if we have political parties that are very insightful, I mean, in understanding that there is a need for us to start our political calculations now, they will look at counties that they consider as strongholds and look at the number of registrants in those counties and consider how many votes they believe they can fuck out of that or out of those counties that will lead them to victory. All right. So in Bombing County, for example, we have a total of 30,676 female registrants and 33,719 male registrants, which sums up to 64,395 registrants. In Bapolo, we have a total female registration of 22,224 and male registrants 28,663 and a total number of 50,887. In Grand Bassa County, we have total females 78,712, males 79,000, and a total of 157,712. That's the Liberty Party belt. I mean, and we are told that CDC is making encroachment in that part of the country to ensure that, you know how it is now. Once they know, say, you know, they enter Lofa County, they start making some inroads there. They did same for Nimba County, where they see opposition dominance. But will those encroachments in any way have effect on the outcome of the vote? The results of the elections in those counties is something again to think about. So in Grand Cape County, a total of female registrants are 40,424, male registrants 46,165, and a total of 86,589. In Margibi, 92,438 females registered, and 91,987 males registered, and 184,425 registered. In Montserrado County, which is considered the melting pot of elections in Liberia, 446,936 females and 444,265 males. A total of 891,201 registered voters in Montserrado County, pretty close to 1 million voters in Montserrado County. So the dominance of fight for dominance in Montserrado County will be huge, because if you look at the figure here, over 800,000 votes in Montserrado. That's huge, Dennis. That's huge. And all of these parties, along with the ruling party, they will be highly contesting for these numbers. And clearly, Montserrado, based on previous elections, Montserrado is seen as the hotspot for opposition, because they say that they play the Nomo people in the interior. Not too many Nomo people there. So it's always seen as the spot where opposition normally gets votes. Now, the entire registration exercise, I know we've spoken about that in the past, but just to re-emphasize that the National Elections Commission, according to them, they've done what they consider as an evaluation of their activities, the shortcomings they had, and what they've done to build on those shortcomings. But as we've indicated here via this medium, that the National Elections Commission has a responsibility, and that is to ensure that the equipment that have been taken to parts of Liberia, especially those hard to reach places, that those equipment are good enough to ensure the smooth registration exercise and unhindered process. I mean, because there's a timeline. In Monserrado, in the first one of the exercise, there was no extension. I mean, there was just extension in hours on the last day of registration, but there was no extension in terms of days. So we do not expect to see the same in any part of Liberia, at least going forward. So we expect that those equipment that are taken to parts of Liberia, those hard to reach places, are good enough so that the registration process is not in any way thwarted, because these people have to go to their farms. They will take some day off. Maybe the town chief says, "Oh, you got to stay in the town today, and other you got to register." For them, that is the day they've dedicated to registering for the during the biometric registration exercise. So if that day is not, I mean, it's not, if the registration does not go on that day, it means to get those people back together again will be a problem. And by that, you are disenfranchising those people from participating in the election process. And we are also hoping, and I think the NEC workers have made adjustment to their to understanding the smooth functioning of those equipment. And I am not sure whether those workers that work in the first phase are the same people they are taking to the second phase. I am not sure, but if that is the case, then it's good. But if they are going to work with other people from those 9 counties, then I think those people need orientation.
Sure.
All right. I don't know whether the orientation has been done, but I believe it will be done, or it has been done, so that they are able to operate those equipment as well. Because we do not want to see a recurrence of what happened during the first phase of the biometric registration exercise, Dennis.
Sure. And you said it right. The need to ensure that, we have all it takes to carry on the process, the second phase, because like we said, the first phase of the biometric voter registration exercise was like a precedent case, case study for the process. So I think the National Elections Commission has gotten all clue as it relates to how to go about in terms of conducting the second phase of the biometric voter registration exercise. It is important that they do that, and to have all of the equipment in terms of backup to beef up the efforts of those who will be working over time, because they have learned that some of the equipment they had breakdown and system lapses and what have you. So they'll need to ensure that all of these things are put into place before they can begin the phase 2 of the biometric voter registration exercise. Is important. And from the stats that was given, the preliminary result, it shows that indeed, because according to the census preliminary result, they said males were more than the female. So we see the reflection in the report, in the registration exercise, that the males are more than the females. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So we expect a smooth exercise.
Sure.
In the
remaining 9 counties.
Yeah. In the remaining 9 counties. But folks, this is the Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1, and thanks to the National Elections Commission for such a great job, and we hope they have a successful process in the second phase of the biometric voter registration exercise. Now, what this biometric voter registration exercise does is like, it leaves no room for duplication. I mean, duplication of registrants. That is, you John Brown, you leave from Monserrado, you register in Monserrado already, but you leave from Monserrado and go to maybe Grand Bassa to go register. That is duplication. There's no room for that. In fact, people have been nabbed for double registering, and those people, I'm told, they are before they should be arraigned before the court anytime from now. That's good. And another thing is, I think during the election process, it will avoid this whole thing about people doing ballot stuffing and what have you. Again, it is a difficult thing to stop. I don't know to what extent we are able to stop ballot stuffing, but it gives a good picture, an image of our electoral process. And so we are hoping that this process that have begun will be safeguarded as we move to elections, so that we do the real good work at the beginning, we finish doing good work, then at the end of it we go spoil everything, because we want to protect different interests. We don't want to see that. So again, kudos to the National Elections Commission. We understand all of the difficulties you went through. Some were self-imposed, other were natural. I mean, things you have no control over. But be it as it may, the process was smooth in the first 6 counties, and we are looking forward for another smooth exercise in the rest of the 9 counties in Liberia. Now, then, let's transition to this whole Joe Boakai thing. And you have the court document right before you, because we want to be very careful on how we proceed. We want you to just, read from the court document, at least those ones that are legible enough, read them and let our people get to hear. But as you may have heard on our news on yesterday, the standard bearer of the Unity Party, and I would want to say the former vice president, political leader. Yeah, is more like, we got something called attribution, right? And attribution is done in different cases. All right, so if Denise is representing ABC Radio, we'll address Denise as the program director of ABC Radio. If Denise is making representation on behalf of a church, the capacity in which she serves as a church is what will be used. So in this case, Joseph Boakai is media director. Joseph Boakai is the standard bearer of the Unity Party, right? Did his operations in 1994 relate to the Unity Party? Of course not. He was Joseph Boakai as Joseph Boakai. No, and I know the politics of the day we want people to believe that, of course, he's the standard bearer. Yeah, he's the standard bearer now. But because we are news people, and we want to stay on the side of the ethic, we say Joe Boakai as just as Joe Boakai, as an individual. So then is the court. So the court summoned our former Vice President Joseph Boakai based on a complaint from a man called Anok Kanaka, the civil law code that is, through Judge Peabody. They summoned Joseph Boakai as in the man who is the head of the Unity Party.
The political leader.
The political leader. They don't want to call it wrong.
But he's the political leader. Yeah. We cannot,
So he was summoned by the civil law code.
Yeah.
To appear on that code based on something filed by Anok Kanaka through his lawyer. So Dennis will read that for you as she's reading
the petitioner's petition. It says, and now comes petitioner in the above entitled cause of action, praying you honor in his honorable court to grant his petition for removal of cloud over the title D for the following reasons to read. So it says, 1, that petitioner is a law-abiding Liberian citizen and a resident of the United States of America, and in order to protect and defend his interests in Liberia while residing elsewhere, on the 22nd day of December AD 2020, appointed Mr. Reginald T.A. Bright, a resident of the city of Monrovia, Republic of Liberia, as his attorney in fact, attached yet to his copy of the power of attorney and marked as Exhibit P/1 to form a cogent and integral part of this complaint. 2, petitioner submits and avers that he is the owner of 21 acres of land lying situated and located in Caldwell Township, Montserrado County, Republic of Liberia, adjacent to the Taylor Major compound. As a result of genuine purchase from Mr. Joe Young, the respondent here in the above, who at the time of purchase that is acted as petition's representative or agent, for which he was compensated, and through whom the amount of US $8,500 constituting purchase price, excluding the surveying, prohibition, and recording costs at the National Archives. Further to count 1, petitioner says and averts that upon receipt of the above mentioned amount, the within named respondent, instead of ensuring that the title deed was issued in petitioner's name, he instructed the surveyor and Mr. Joe Young, the guarantor, to issue said title deed in the names of both petitioner and respondent, thus making respondent co-owner of said property, which is the 21 acres of land. And upon realization by petitioner during inquiry, respondent assured petitioner that same was an error and that he, respondent Joseph M. Boaka Sr., who have corrected same since December of 1994, long before the probation of said deed in 1995. But this respondent grossly failed, neglected, and refused to do so, despite several appeals to include the 2018 communication, that is letter, that was served on him as a further reminder for the correction of the title deed to be changed solely and wholly in the name of petitioner. This he again failed to do, up to and including the time of the filing of this petition. A copy of said title deed and the communication of 2016 are thereto attached, marked as Exhibit P2 in block, to form cogent and integral part of this petition. Should I go on? In furtherance of respondents' nefarious, malicious, diabolical, wicked, ungodly, and devilish act against the peaceful person of petitioner, with consent of respondent, sometimes in December of 2022, a title deed was drafted to be signed by respondent, thus transferring title to petitioner. But again, respondent, with his usual tactics, refused to sign same, simply because respondent had, without the knowledge and consent of the petitioner, unilaterally sold several portions of the said parcel of land to individuals who have erected dwelling structures thereon to the detriment of petitioner, for which petitioner is unable to develop and enjoy his rights as enshrined in the 1986 Constitution of Liberia. 5. That further to the above accounts, petitioner submits and says that the willful, illegal, and unlawful act of respondent by the issuance of the title deed that made him co-owner of the parcel of land for which petitioner paid $8,500 United States dollars without a cent from. Okay. Respondent and not petitioner as sole owner has bought. Sorry, this is difficult to read because from what I'm reading.
Because of where is it? Okay.
Has brought untold hardship, mental anguish. Hope that's the word. Because it's not showing clearly.
That's anguish.
Family ridicule and disgrace, as the family is in total disarray, for which petitioner praise, I've not seen it, his honorable court to declare his rights over said parcel of land by ordering the respondent to issue a title deed that will wholly and solely make petitioner the legitimate owner of the 21 acres of land. Subject of these litigation, thus restoring petitioner's property rights as enshrined in the 1986 Constitution of Liberia. Hence, this petition for removal of cloud over title deed, petitioner gives notice that he shall produce additional documentary evidence and witnesses through writs of subpoena during trial when necessary during trial. Therefore, And in view of the above foregoing facts of circumstances, petitioner most respectfully prays your honor and his honorable court to grant his petition and adjudge the respondent liable to petitioner by the removal cloud name of respondent Joseph Yima Boakai from the 21 acres land deed from Joe Young to Joseph Yima Boakai and J. Arnold Kanakai to thereafter read from Joe Young to J. Arnold Kanaka the name of petitioner. Rule the course of these proceedings and grant unto your humble servant and all further interest as seemeth just, legal, and equitable in the premise.
That one we can interpret that last part there. So
yeah,
just leave it. Now, this is I know I will speak to the political side, the interpretation people trying to give it. But this petitioner, Anna, is complaining to the civil law court that in 1994, that's the year, right? He sent money to Joseph Boakai to purchase a piece of land for him, 21 acres, in the tune of 8,500 United States dollars. Now that money was meant for the purchase of the land and was also meant for the probating of the deed and all other legal documents that surround the purchase of land. And according to him, he even compensated the former vice president. Now, to his surprise, when the former vice president bought the land from one Young, the former vice president, instead of placing the petitioner, who is Anna Kanakai, name on the deed as in land purchase, you that now you get land and you understand what I mean. And, you know, like you buy the land, they will say the land is purchased from this person to this person. So instead of just putting the name of Anna Kanaka on the deed, according to this petition, the former vice president also included his name. Now, when he was confronted on the issue the first time, he said it was a mistake. According to this petition, he said it was a mistake and that he would have changed it. The first conversation that was held with the former vice president was that it was a mistake. He would have changed it. And so the petitioner agreed, okay, he will change it. That did not happen. Fast forward to which year?
1995? 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Again, he confronted the former vice president. The former vice president said, yeah, that's true, I will change it. The former vice president again did not change it according to this court document and the petition here that we've just read. He did not change it again. We go again, the man say he bent behind the former vice president to change this 1 year from the buyout of the land to him now, Anna Kanaka. The former vice president has not been able to do so. And so he is praying the court to remove this cloud from over this land deed so as to make him the legitimate owner. Now, not only is he praying the court, he has also indicated in this petition that the former vice president has sold a portion of the land to people, and people already built on the land.
Yes, they are living there.
They are living there. People have built on the land. And so he's praying the court that the former vice president let him turn the land over in his name, and you know, and remove his name, Joseph Boakai, from there. And so, according to the petition, the former vice president was summoned initially, but it was said that he wasn't well, and so he did not appear. And there's someone who's representing the legal interests of Anna Kanaka. Anna Kanaka is based in the United States of America, so there's legal representation for him. Now, this petition is praying the presence of Joseph Boakai to appear. He himself, they didn't say any legal representative. They say he himself must appear before the civil law court to answer to this petition. Now, I've heard different people giving interpretations to this, but they are linking again the government to being the one who's responsible for this plot. But let me ask you this question, my people. During the saga, the CPP saga,
yeah,
when the former vice president served as a state witness and took Alexander Cummings to court for what they considered as tampering, fingering of the framework document, was it also the making of the government of Liberia? Was it the making of the government of Liberia? Doesn't a citizen who feels injured by an individual have the right to go before the court and file the real legal instrument against the person of an individual? Or does an individual feel exempt from any court proceeding because he or she is participating or is to participate in an electoral process? Does it in any way mean that the former vice president colluded and connived with individuals that took Alexander Cummings to court for alleged tampering, a case which has not brought forth any result? Is that the interpretation? I am asking these questions to say to you that every individual that resides in the bailiwick of our country is responsible to live under the ambience of the law. So whether politics or not, the first thing you should ask yourself, are these allegations or is this petition, the content of this petition, grounded on facts? That is the question you need to ask yourself before linking government, that the government doing it and this and that. We need to ask ourselves the hard questions, because it is clear that Alexander Cummings is participating in the 2023 elections, right, Dennis? Mm-hmm. And Alexander Cummings was taken to court. And Alexander Cummings get blood too. You're talking to court. So it wrong for somebody to take the former vice president to court when they feel injured by his action, by his alleged action. So look, Liberians, we must abandon this thing we call politics. That every action that is initiated by an individual is being fueled by government. And the same thing happened in the past. When people were in opposition, they actually link government to everything that happened in this country. That the government orchestrating it, that the government do this, that the government do that. But as a political leader or as a political figure in this country, when someone feels injured as a result of your action or your alleged action, that person is under obligation to take you to court. So we do not have to link the government. We do not have to link individuals in the government for what is believed or alleged to have been the action of the former vice president. The former vice president, he's a responsible individual, and he has a track record of being responsible for the fact that he was able to testify against Alexander Cummings in the court, serving as a state witness, testifies how he's a responsible citizen. So in that same vein, I am very sure, I'm told on the 22nd, he will appear before the civil law court to answer to the claims made in this petition. So let's get away from this whole politics and think that government is responsible. I'm not a spokesman of government, but not every action that someone takes against an individual is being orchestrated by the government. Government can really suffer in people's hands. That's it right there, Dennis.
Yes, and like you said, our government will always be blamed, perhaps in terms of their connection as it relates to, we are in a political season now, and the former vice president again going to the court, and the former vice president was there before, and I jokingly said the former vice president is almost like Donald Trump now, where every time the court issue but the issue about it, I learned that this guy in question having to be the in-law of the former vice president.
They get relationship.
Yeah, relationship. So there are too many things, or too many questions to ask within this whole situation. Your in-law, there should be some discussion with family before this thing can go to court. When a family member takes you to court it means that
they've exhausted all available means of resolution.
It is at a point, because in Liberia we have a tendency, or we have this thing like when someone take you to court, it means you people are enemies, family people see it like that. So for an in-law of the vice president to take you to court because of land business, then it means it has come, a long way. But equally so, like we said, we are in a political season. We also need to find out firstly from the former vice president. He needs to speak out to know whether indeed this issue that has been brought up against him, whether it is true or not. Because as it is the public now with this document or this court proceeding. So we have not heard from the former vice president whether indeed it is true that his name is on this deal, and for I think over 20 years now or so, and they have been talking it, and each time he will say that he will remove his name, and at this point it has not been removed. Perhaps the way in which the land was purchased, I don't want to speak to that, but perhaps there has been this connection. If they went to the deal that this land is for the both of us, it needs to come clear, he needs to come clear with it to tell us whether that what happened. But as it is, these things are things that place a dent on your character as public official. If people will start to accuse you for these petty issues that the former as a former vice president and now the political leader of a major opposition, a party that for over 20 years someone placed confidence in you to steer their affairs and let's say buy land, and at the end of it you were not able to do that work properly. Perhaps you try to divert their own stuff in your own name, and according to the court document you sold a portion of that land and people are living on it, meaning it was not in consent with the person who you purchased the land for. So if it is something like that, we are going to frown against that it was wrong on the part of the former vice president to have done so. But like I said, we wait to hear from him. So if the person who has been accused have not said anything, we cannot talk much on it until he comes clear to the public to say whether yes indeed what is saying or written in the document, it is true that he bought this land and he had his name on it, and they have been talking about it for quite a longer time now, and he did not remove his name. Perhaps he has been basic and saying it is family thing. He decided to leave it that way. So it is good that we know what is actually happening. Let the former vice president come and say what is happening, because he represents a major political party, and there's a need that he speak to this issue. If it is accusation and it is not true, he should say it. He should come to the public and talk about it, because with this concern, it is not outsider, it's a family member whose name is being mentioned with him. So the need to come clear to the public to talk about it is important, because there are people who are depending on him as the leader or their leader of this nation. So with all of these things, it speaks to integrity issue like we always talk about, and we have come several times to talk about this, the ruling establishment, they misrule, and some of the things that they do that is not right in the interest of the Liberian people. And if he will be an alternative that people looking out to succeed the ruling establishment, it means that those things that he has been doing or he did in the past need to be clear, and he needs to speak to that we all know it. So I don't really want to base on whether it is the government that is using people or the government, because I don't want to be seen as their spokesperson. But I'm speaking to the issue with the vice president. It is good enough that he come clear to say what is what and what is black, so that the public can know whether indeed Ambassador Bwaka, is it true that what they are saying, your name is involved in this thing, or someone is just trying to implicate you that you are not concerned with this document. So we need to know that, and we need to talk about it.
Thank you. A summary of the concluding statement of Denise is that once you are a public servant, your action will come under public scrutiny.
Exactly.
And the former vice president is not an exception. Now, when these issues of integrity arise, it is important that people discuss them. So the former vice president is not beyond reproach. All right, and I don't want people to see it as that. He is not beyond reproach. The same way people will say, "Oh, George, we are steal money," and everybody start talking about it and accusing all Samuel Twer, do this, he do that, and everybody start criticizing him. The former vice president must also be criticized. I am not sure that those who criticize officials of government, so to speak, do sometimes have these cogent pieces of evidence to back their allegations. They do so because they are in the court of public opinion, and the same would be applied to the former vice president. He is not beyond reproach. So the thing is, this is an integrity issue, and we are hoping that the former vice president, will go before the court and clear his name. At this stage, it is an integrity issue. It will be an issue of discussion, and whether anybody likes it or not, people will discuss it. You can't stop that. It is an integrity issue. And so, if an official of government was found in this same situation, we would have discussed it to the letter. So it is important that we as Liberians look at things holistically instead of tying individuals, oh, the men are opposition, oh, the men are government. If we just disabuse our minds from this everyday politics and look at issues as they should be looked at, trust me, we'll make some progress in our democratic space. So again, the former vice president must clear his name, but at this stage, it is an integrity issue. It borders on his integrity, and the best to do at this stage is for him to clear his name. In the meanwhile, there will be discussions across the country regarding his involvement in this case, and nobody can sanction the opinions of others on discussing the activities of individuals who are contesting for public positions. So that is clear. Let's go to the phone lines now on 0555 105 100, 0777 105 100, and hear you out on the discussion points this morning on ABC Radio 105.1, The Morning Breeze. At 9 o'clock, we play host to Liberian economist Samuel Jackson. He'll be our guest on the program this morning at 9 o'clock. People used to hearing Sam Jackson, so he'll be our guest on the program this morning. The Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1. It is a serious issue, an integrity issue that must be discussed. And again, the former vice president is not beyond reproach. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah, I'm Jones Kilberty calling from the Congo Town this morning. And good morning to your listening audience.
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah, I was listening to you and the lady in the studio.
Denise.
Your co-host. Your co-host.
Yeah, Denise.
Yeah, okay. You see, that's the reason for which the country is not moving forward. Because the people of this nation, majority of whom are young people, refuse to stand up to hold the leaders according to those standards. They refuse. Like you said, now you're discussing the issue of the former VP. What are people saying now? Why you guys have to discuss it too? Is government playing stuff to create some problem for incomes or so on? Which of course is not a truth. Like yourself should discuss each and every one. What it has to do with integrity. You can hear me president, we should come to the public clear. For this country, the people of this nation, like I said, the young people, they do not believe in standard, they do not know what it is standard. They just go and just blindly support people in this nation. So the recent nation is not moving
Thank you, my
forward.
brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's take another person on this line. Good morning.
Good morning, Fidel, and good morning, sis.
Good morning. Good morning.
You don't have the luxury of time. You have to go ahead with your point, bro.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Okay, first of all, let me touch on the issue of the report that Ned gave, the result that Ned gave yesterday. I think that we have our common saying, we say that anything that is like done, nobody will not done at all. So there's something that Ned didn't touch on the issue of the US district. They didn't give the numbers of racial voters that racial for the US district. So definitely we are even studying, we don't know how to differentiate racial.
Okay. Thank you. I have to let you go. No time. Okay, let's take more calls on the program. 0555 105 100, 0777 105 100. The Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1. Looking at the former vice president's situation. He's been summoned by the Civil Law Court based on the petition filed by Adna Kanaka. Good morning.
Good
Good morning.
Good
Yes,
morning.
Thank you, Uber. I'm Mama Zizé from Lokintown, Bourgeois.
This is Fidel.
I mean, yeah. Thank you. Sorry for that.
Go ahead.
No, as I sat there listening to you this morning, no, like I just like how you just said it, and I listen to people who think we are just others from the other side who don't want to see criticism. So I just because I'm a bold supporter of Joe Imambwaka to admit, and anything that brought up on integrity, I believe it should be discussed and to know the source of facts. So, someone will not say in America in their level allegation. I think we all are looking at it at the time, and it is clear. And the former past president, the ambassador, will come to the media and make some clarity that, which of course you said, and I believe that we need some clarity. Here's the time.
Okay.
And those propagandas will not work.
All right, my brother. Thank you.
Thank
Let's take
you.
another person. Good morning.
Good morning, Fidel.
Good morning, my brother.
And good morning to Mrs. Denise. Thank you for the show, David.
Yeah, David.
David Harris now call from Benson Street this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Fidel, I believe in your journalistic skill and Sis Denise. I know that you will call the brother in the U.S. and follow the other side of the story. But I would like to speak on the issue of the voter register during the voter registration. I think the number is very small, Fidel, because if I can recall, 2017, the number was 700,779. Now we're going 800,000 plus. I think the number is small. It was due to the slow voter piece by the NEC workers. So thank you this morning.
Okay. Thank you so much. 077-105-100, 055-105-100. Let's talk this morning on ABC Radio 105.1 on the Morning Breeze. At 9 o'clock is Sam Jackson, Liberian economist Sam Jackson. He'll be our guest. But for now, let's talk about the former vice president. He's been summoned by the civil law court on based on the petition filed by Anna Kanaka. Good morning. Okay, we missed out on that person. Let's take another one from this end. Good morning.
Yes, I was talking about I didn't end my thought. You just got me. I didn't end one.
Yeah, I told you have less time. Go ahead, quickly.
Yeah, I know what's here for. Yeah, but I really want to know because sometimes journalists get on the radio and then insinuate. So really, I really want to know if which one of the opposition people that are saying this that people for the re-establishment doing this kind of thing, orchestrating against the 4-5 president. I don't know because sometimes it's kind of things that they can be explained by some journalists on the radio. We just get on the radio and just put like opposition people. The one who's doing this, who's saying that and the re-establishment doing it. What the first brother said. Because that's very political advice for integrity business. So we are believing in JNP. So nobody will just come from anywhere else.
You say they're not integrity business? You say they're not integrity business?
I integrity business.
Okay.
So we're not sitting there lying about the camp against it, then we're just they will say this up. So we want to try to put the root cause of because there's so many things that were happening. Nobody will come from anywhere to consider.
Are you sure you're supporting JMB?
Thank you, my brother. Let's take another person here. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning to Dennis.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm Lawrence Spencer. I'm in Johnsonville.
Okay.
You know, you said it all this morning. We should start honoring some people. When it happens, certain people should try to verify them. When it happened with Mr. Kumis, our Unity Party friends, all rightly used to call Mr. Kumi criminal. And in fact, today they still hold that view.
Yeah.
That Mr. Kumi temper with his document, all of that. But today, Mr. Bwaga, oh no. Nobody should talk all that Bwaga. I don't know what sense of feeling people developing this time for this Bwaga thing. So it's wrong. We for all, we're not coming and call him criminal because according to our constitution, until he can be brought down for a competent court jurisdiction, you are not a criminal. Okay, so all we can, like you said, all we can ask the government to do is to muster the courage to speak to this matter. Because he is a state man and he invited for the hierarchy of the land.
Okay,
somebody in the election that you are there selling their property illegally and all of that, you have to speak to him. That's only that you can handle. Thank you, Fidel.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Let's take another person. Good morning. Good morning.
This is Hilton Willie. The from this morning.
Apparently, you're calling from a hold, Hilton.
Coming again.
You're coming in broken.
I'm not looking at.
Yes, shift a bit.
It's for fun for some of us to have heard that women just what the policy said will be before this election days. And we are hopeful that the judicial system will work properly as it did by shutting in to do inquiry because you cannot sit, you cannot be in a very good company with all the resources and sell it down to somebody and then somebody can consult a fraudulent. All I would say is election every time we're talking something that has to do with somebody integrity. So you have to do election. Instead of going to treat somebody having something also for resources and what they do.
Okay, we have to let you know your line is bad. Your
bad.
line is bad. Your line is very bad. Let's take one more person and then we'll go for our break. Our guest is already in the building, Sam Jackson, a Liberian economist. And by the way, we'll talk about the politics and everything. We'll talk about his progressive days and what have you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my brother. How are you?
We're doing good.
Yeah, this is Mohammed Gitawa, one of the people defenders that are connecting to supporting the
calling now.
Mohammed Gitawa.
Yeah, thank you so much. This Popo, my brother. Today, let me really commend you this morning, the issue, because I've been listening to you. You know, the way in which you're discussing the issue, some of our concerns, is not about who carries Joseph Baka to court, but what Joseph Baka do before he appear in the court. Then you go and explain yourself. United States President Donald Trump was just invited by the Supreme Court of the United States. He went there. Then when it happened to Liberia, our brother from the United Party, they have nothing to offer. They will come on the radio, that Joria government did it. That Joria government sent Joseph Baka and that man to go to the deal. Somebody know, I don't know what deal that bring Joseph Baka to the court today. Only them, even the government, only the Manasari government. How you attack that issue against the government? They wouldn't just saying this to you people. If Joseph Baka would be found guilty in the case, then you go beyond bar.
Oh man,
what a beyond bar business. First the man had to come to know whether it is true or not.
Yeah.
Was common man do a junior lady business and you go there. So they happen to Joseph Baka, they go beyond bar.
All right.
Then they elect pure and they told him
okay. You want a Mohammed Bravo. But folks, this is the Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1, and today is Tuesday, the 18th day of April 2023. Let's now run for our break on the program this morning. When we come back, we'll have Sam Jackson in studio on the program. This is the Morning Breeze on ABC Radio. But before then, listen to this.
To Robert Tier of the Unity Party.
Yeah, you know, everything I do, we must first tell the thing to the people.
That's what I'm saying.
And we've been doing that. We have people cleaning the champagne in our various communities. No, in social science, said, go to people and ask them what they name. And so you poison them to say, I name this. But if you don't ask your people, then what do you carry to them? So before I ask them what they name, and what they need, we're taking them to them.
Your three major priorities.
Right now, if you look at I'm a teacher in profession.
You teacher?
Yeah, I'm a teacher. The second thing is that we want the boroughs autonomous.
The boroughs what?
It's autonomous. It's autonomous. Yeah, it's autonomous.
Go ahead.
And we look at some of the things we want to consider because we talk about autonomous. That means you have a lot of facility, a lot of things that you do in the borough.
Gifty, where did you get the bricks you used to build your house? See how strong the bricks looks.
I got them from Rovia Bricks. Do not tell me you have not heard about Rovia Bricks.
You mean they are located in Liberia?
Yes, Angie. Rovia Bricks is a division of Rovia Logistics Incorporated, and they offer a variety of concrete products for all your construction needs. They have 6, 7, 8, and 4 inches blocks. That's not all.
Tell me more.
Rovia Bricks have covers for roads and well, cornerstones, Colombo blocks, yard tiles, sand, be it smooth, rough, and mixed. They even have red dyes for land filling and crushed rocks of all sizes.
How can I get to them?
You can locate Rovia Bricks right at the corner of McDonough and Carey Streets on the Kakata Highway, Copper Farm area in Fendel, around the University of Liberia campus, or locate our head office on Randall Street. Call Rovia Bricks on 0777 874 231 or 0888 726 172. Email them on rovialib@gmail.com. Better still, WhatsApp them on 0777 874 231 or Facebook Rovia Logistics Incorporated.
I'm calling them right now for that man's Swampy land. No time to
man, take it easy.
Excuse me, Mr. Generally. I wanna how you make your head burn. In the press release today.
Years of experience is the number 10 store in the microfinance every day. General services,
but I'm really still getting confused now. And I just wanna ask you some questions. They say pay some money. They say pay some press.
Institutions or entities under the microfinance service include House of Representatives, Liberian Senate, General Services Agency, Financial Intelligence Unit, and General Auditing Commission. Others include Governance Commission, Cooperative Development Agency, Ministry of Gender, Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, National Public Health Institute of Liberia, National Food Authority, Group of 77, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Our construction services construction of residential and commercial buildings, while the general services include apartment rental, apartment furnished apartments for short stay, general printing services, and a yard with swimming pool to host events. Bokon General Group of Companies is located on Capitol Hill in Monrovia. For more information, call us on cell numbers 0770 560 or 0777 017 603, or better still 0886 622 559, or email us at Bokonjida Group of Companies@gmail.com. Bokonjida Group of Companies.
God don't give up on me. God don't give up on me.
Rovia. Yes, Rovia Logistics is back. Have you been looking for a one-stop shop to rent and hire machineries of all types? Look no further. Rovia Logistics Incorporated is the answer. Rovia Logistics has a wide range of machines like dump trucks to haul your sand, red dye, crush rocks, and border rocks.
As for your construction needs, do not worry. Rovia Logistics have all sizes of yellow machines to meet your desire. They have machines like bulldozers, compactors, excavators, forest machines, backhoes, and many more.
The interesting part is you get to hire them hourly, daily, or monthly. And that's not all. They also rent pickups of all types like Toyota Tacoma, Nissan Frontiers, Ford F-250, and they are equipped with all-wheel drive options for bad road conditions. Locate Rovia Logistics Incorporated right at the corner of McDonough and Carey Streets on the Kakata Highway, Copper Farm area in Fendel, around the University of Liberia campus, or locate our head office on Randall Street.
Contact Rovia Logistics and cell numbers 0777 874 231 or 0888 726 172. You can also email them on rovialib@gmail.com.
Better still, WhatsApp Rovia Logistics on 0777 874 231 or message them on Facebook Rovia Logistics Incorporated. Rush now for quality services at affordable prices.
Welcome back to the program this morning, the Morning Breeze on ABC Radio 105.1, and today is Tuesday, April 18, 2023. Welcome to this morning's presentation of the program, and as we stated earlier, we have in our studio a political economist, as he always describes himself. Samuel Jackson is our guest this morning on the program. And Dennis, you want to officially welcome him?
Yes, indeed. Would like to say welcome to ABC Radio, the Morning Breeze, and I guess this is your first time.
Yeah, my first time coming to the studio. Yes.
Was it difficult getting to ABC Radio?
No. I mean, I'm Monrovia. I'm from right less than not even 200 yards from here, from Soniwe, right down the street here. Behind the old Ministry of Defense, that's where I was born, so I know Monrovia pretty well. So when you say King Building, and then there was the LF Liberian Finance and Trust Company used to be right over here.
Yeah.
And then during the Taylor time, they used to have the what do you call it? Lamco office used to be in here, so I know, so this is my street, this is my city, this is a city I love. This is a city people say where the feces in the streets of Monrovia, that this, but I'm a man who just loves the city of Monrovia. One of the reasons why I went back to school to get a Master of Science from the London School of Economics in Urban Economics was because I like to see the redevelopment, the rebirth of the city of Monrovia, the regeneration of the commercial business district here, economic development, do some things about bringing back businesses to the city, making the city safe, livable, housing, increase the housing capacity, increase the quality of life of the people of Monrovia, and that's my goal. So I'm very glad to be here today.
You have traveled some parts of the world, and also I think yesterday or when I saw the post from you that you mentioned Monrovia is a bit better, or you like the way it is as compared to the past in the 70s. And why was that?
Okay, look, and one of the reasons why I do that to irk the people from the oligarchy, and I don't like to use the word Congo, right?
Okay.
Because that's a pejorative term, right? But people who supported the oligarchy and descendants of the oligarchy, they like to paint this rosy picture of Liberia, right? In the olden days, things were so much better, And I lived it during the olden days. I was born here 70 years ago. I grew up within the city of Monrovia. I know about the lack of social equity in this thing where, we had a one-party oligarchy for 133 years. There were hardly any females in the legislature. Maybe one, the most two women in the cabinet, and gender parity in education. You have the highest teenage pregnancy rate in the world. In fact, the government was going to enact a policy where they were trying to make the age of consent to have sex with adolescent teenage girls to be 12 years old, And then I noticed the polygamous relationships within the country, in the city of Monrovia, where like 90% of the people who were born were like outside children. They were not from any
established family,
from a non-established family. And but you saw the manifestation of that after the war, and a lot of the fight over properties came from the outside children and the inside children, and this is the whole thing. A lot of the interstate estates of these people, and this fight continues today. And of course, you look at the illiteracy rate. Okay, most of our grandparents were illiterate. So I don't know why they talk about nostalgia. So what I normally say to them, and I always like harken back to, is that I don't know if you saw the movie Gone with the Wind, about slavery in the antebellum South, with Red Butler and Scarlett O'Hara, where they were like the masters in the plantation, and the slaves were in the fields, right? And the masters in the plantation, of course, they were having these top hats and tail coats and having these balls. There was the same thing that we had. We had the masters and we were the servants, you know.
Okay.
And they were having all these wonderful parties, you know. In fact, their standard of living was better or equal to most of Northern Europe. They were shopping from Sears and Roebuck catalog, J.C. Penney catalog. They had washing machine, dishwasher in their homes, you know. So that's the life that less than 5% of the people were living in. And you look at the literature, okay, it's abound with the way they live. If you read Bitter Kenning by Charles Spurgeon Johnson, they talk about, okay, the fact that these people came and they enacted the same sort of plantation slavery that they left in the
US.
In the US, okay. And also if you read other books like Growth Without Development, which is a seminal study on the political economy, okay, in the 60s in Liberia. Okay. The riddle was, why are we having such phenomenal economic growth in terms of output, GDP, but that is not translated into the general standard of living of the ordinary people, right? And they proved that the country was run by a few hundred people, 5 major families, you know. And of course, then when you came to the 1970s, we look at when Tolbert came, which is, they always say Tolbert was the greatest president ever, you know. Okay, he was a nice man. I know him very well, good man. But if you look at the Tolbert administration, it was extremely nepotistic. Okay, his son-in-law was the Minister of Defense. His brother was the Minister of Finance. His daughter was working as in the Ministry of Education. His son-in-law was also the Chief of Immigration. And Gus Lebanon, right? The Evolution of Privilege. If you read that, so these people that want to harken back to those days, I wonder, you know, like, I mean, they must have been living in a different country than I was living in, you know, because I know my father was a cook at the mansion, right? And he left us at home when I was 13, so I knew my mother had to go through. My mother was selling fufu, right? Yes, to send me to school. And luckily for me, when I was 16 years old, the Brothers of Holy Cross, they liked me so much, they thought I was a smart kid. And they said, man, you don't have a future in this country. So they sent me to America. And they dropped me off, and after high school, 18 years, I was on my own.
Okay, I like the pace you've set for our discussion.
And let me just make it. And they always said, you have scholarship. I never had any scholarship in my life, not government. The only thing is that I went to school in GI Bill in America. I went to school in GI Bill. I went, got good quality education. I got married for the first time at age 20 and started to raise a family. I didn't come back to Liberia until 1979. I had a wife and 2 children. I was married to a Haitian American woman. We lived here for a couple of years before we left in 1981. So, I mean, I've not had any extraordinary. I've had no privilege. All I had was the inner fortitude that God gave me, my inner talent, and my personal drive. I've gotten nothing for free, and you know I haven't worked in any government since Charles Taylor left August 11, 2003. But because we have different political opinions, they all would like to think that I'm getting some pecuniary benefits.
Yeah. Some of us will go on and on and on, and but
I want to set set the basis for this conversation. You know?
April 14, 44 years ago, you were part of a group coined the Progressives, and they were considered as individuals who agitated for the civil liberties of Liberians and equal rights and justice in Liberia. And they were believed to be in the brainchild behind the infamous 1979 Rice Riot. Just stroll us through a bit in history, the activities leading to the Rice Riot and your role as an individual and as progressives in that regard.
Okay, so cool. First of all, as an empiricist, somebody who does everything evidence-based, I don't want you to take my word for it.
Okay.
I want to point the listeners to some established literature about that day. Probably the most comprehensive and the most the fair characterization of that day was Albert Port the day Monrovia stood still, right?
Okay.
Okay. I'm sure you read about that, okay? And then also, after the rice riots and while we were in prison, there was a commission that was set up with Nadesia Brownell, the late Nadesia Brownell, as chairman, and Ellen Johnson still living. She's living today. She was co-chairman, okay? And the Brownell Commission came up with a report.
Okay.
So what I'm going to be saying are basically be following along the lines of the report the day Monrovia stood still. But you can't question Albert Port's integrity, and you can't question Nadesia Brownell and Ellen Johnson still leave integrity. Okay. So what happened was in around December of 1978, just before I came to Liberia, Florence Chenoweth, who happened to be the minister who was under, she was a young lady. She was in her mid-30s, and she was Minister of Agriculture. So the Ministry of Agriculture made a proposal to increase the price of rice, claiming that there was going to be an incentive to improve local production. Okay, but we did an analysis, and we found out that if you look at the cast of characters importing rice, they were all of the president's cronies. In fact, his brother Daniel Talbot was the largest rice importer. And then we look at the quantity of rice that was produced locally, okay, just about maybe less than 50,000 100-pound bags were produced. So they were trying to move the price of rice from, I believe it was 18 to like 20, 22 to $24, right? And so we did our analysis, and we said that, listen, you can't do this when 70 to 80% of the people in this town, Monrovia, live in slums. They're almost 90% vulnerable employment. They're not working. Income is limited. So this would be very, very bad for the people economically. So we need to think about that. Okay. And the president was adamant and said, well, if you're adamant, we will exercise our constitutional right to demonstrate against this, right? And we asked for a permit. They refused. So we said we'll challenge the government. Okay. But moving up to April 13th.
Under what banner were you operating?
Okay, we had the Progressive Alliance of Liberia, which was mostly Bacchus Matthews, myself, Oscar Quia, Wesley Jones, and others who come from the States. And you had the Movement of Justice in Africa, which was Amos Sawyer, Dr. Tipute, Kwame Wise, and others, mostly at the University of Liberia, and Poema Famula, right? And there was some program, I think Soup or Moja was having at the Sports Commission just before just a few days before, a week or so before the rice riots, and we went and announced that. That's how Moja came to the picture. But this was a PAL thing. But there was not a demonstration, because if you read, like I said, Albert Port spoke. He was shuttling between the mansion and our office. We had an office on Gurley Street. If you go down Gurley Street, between Gurley and Randall, there's a little ditch there, the Sunnywind ditch. There's a man used to be called the late Timothy Frank. That was Baco Matthews' stepfather. And Mr. Frank was a political activist. Okay, so he allowed us to use his home as the official residence, as the official headquarters of POT. So that place was, packed on a daily basis, because this was new. Political agitation hadn't happened in this country since 1955 with Dito Tweb and the whole thing about the S. David Coleman and all of that, right? So it was brand new, and there was no multi-party democracy since 1955. Tubman, the Chewy Party, had effectively crushed multi-party democracy. There was only one party, the Chewy Party, and everybody on government payroll had to give up 1 month salary to the Chewy Party, and then the government was giving Chewy Party $500,000 a year or more, and we got the vouchers, that we published the vouchers and all of that. Okay, so anyway, to make a long story short, Albert Port was shuttling back and forth, and during those days there was no internet. We only had 2 radio stations. You had ELBC, you had the ELWA, right? So there was no way for us to inform our people that we had called the demonstration. So then we just asked the government, look, we're not going to go in the streets, but let our people assemble at the headquarters, and we'll make a speech and we'll leave. We'll claim victory, we'll move forward or whatever. And much to our dismay, as the people were marching, just walking and coming to the headquarters, the police started to shoot at defenseless civilians. And depending on which version of the story you read, dozens or hundreds were killed that day. In fact, Alaric Tokpa and others, the soup guys, went to the mass grave on April 14, right? So that is Genesis, okay, the beginning of the liberation of Liberia from the tentacles of the oligarchy, and that is why a lot of them who lost their places of privilege in 1980 when the coup took place, when the Second Republic came, they cannot fathom that we've seen a whole demographic change. We've seen the whole change in the complexion of the government. And then that is the problem. But look, we don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward. Okay. And if you read my book, The Paradox of Poverty, the Rich and Poor Country, I'm very clear that we all bear responsibility for what has happened to this country. Okay. And the progress that we've made in this country, the formation of Liberia, the independence, okay, and all of the things that we did for African liberation and all of that. And today, okay, the country now, you cannot distinguish a Tolbert or Dennis from a Yakbabudo. Okay, so that's changed. We're all speaking the series with the Decembrists come. Before, when they used to come, we used to call them the Bintos. They were mostly children of the oligarchs that were attending boarding schools in places like Switzerland and in the UK. In UK, they took away all the farmland from Red Light all the way as far as Ganta on both sides of the road. They used our people as peasant laborer farmers, and they took their rubber to a 15 kid, they sold it. So they had this incestuous relationship with Firestone, and they made a lot of money on the backs of our people. They sold our iron ore, our gold, our diamonds, and our people didn't benefit. They did that for 133 years, right? But they did well in many respects. So they in terms of the structure of democracy, the bicameral legislature, and some of the things that they did for African liberation, and some of the first that Liberia achieved. We were original signers of the League of Nations, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We were also original signers of the United Nations. We were the OAU was conceived. The OAU transformed. The AU was conceived in San Nicola, the San Nicola Declaration. So we've done extremely well. Okay, but of course we've been challenged because of the consequences of the brutal civil war that we had here from 1989 to 2003. But the post-war Liberia, the democratic dispensation, let's face it, it's a much better country today than it's ever been.
You think
because,
so?
Of course, but look at the media. How many radio stations do you think we have in this country? Dozens of radio stations, dozens of newspapers, the internet, the media, okay, free speech. There are no political prisoners. And this is by no means, I'm not saying that this is utopia, but the dystopian, which is the opposite of utopia, the dystopian view that they have, what they want to characterize because they see some feces, some broken pipes on Benson Street or Center Street, and they want to characterize this as the manifestation of the new Liberia. The new Liberia, the new Monrovia, as a matter of fact, is the extension of the city of Monrovia. If you go far east to Disco Hill, to Marshall, you see that's Metropolitan Monrovia.
Okay.
And if you go all the way to Pearl River, that's Metropolitan Monrovia. Look at the quality of the houses that were built now. Monrovia has a skyline. Okay, they improve services within the city of Monrovia. If you look at the if you look at Tottenham Boulevard, you have Zara, you have Oporto's.
Okay,
you
I mean those are
don't you think it's due to the 21st century? So
no, but I'm saying so there was no retrogression. So we did not stay in a time warp. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you're talking about causation now, right? What caused this? So that's a different.
We've made progress.
So, but I'm saying so that's a different conversation, right? So when I say it, they automatically think that I'm going to say that CDC government, which is only 5 years in power, made this happen. Of course not. Okay, this is the automaticity of economic growth over a period. Once you have peace, and if you have even modest economic growth, you will start seeing real development over a period of time. That's why peace is essential to economic development. Peace and stability.
All right, Mr. Jackson, let's go again a bit further to the real economic issues. A few years ago, just a year ago or two, Liberia, like most countries around the world, was confronted with the hovering effect of the coronavirus pandemic, and it affected almost every fabric of our country's growth. And it was believed that, in fact, that contributed to the dwindling of our GDP and everything that had to do with our country's economy. As it is now, from your own perspective and what you've learned over the years, what are the real challenges that our country is confronted with from a macroeconomic perspective?
Yeah, but let's just give a good background to that. You know, we had the war, and then in 2006 we started with the inauguration of a
democratic
government, and we came from a very, very low base. And in 2003, 90% of output had evaporated because of the war. And don't take my word for it. Go read Steve Ratler's output. 90% of income.
There was nothing going on in the country.
So we came from a very, very low base, right? So when you start putting in structures, right, people start returning home from refugee camps. People start coming from the United States, and people just come because more than 3/4 of the population were displaced. You had some institutional problems with the teachers and all of that. So when you start to build these structures, you will see an acceleration of economic development. It's not because of what the government is doing, it's because of what we are doing as a people. We are rebuilding our lives. So between 2006 and 2017, most of the growth that you saw, okay, even with the increases in the revenue from 80 million to 522 or 600 million dollars, all of that, yes, okay, they had the interim poverty reduction strategy paper, really impact the lives of the people significantly, okay, were not put into place. So all we did was we are trying to get back to what? Pre-war levels. Right?
You mean the post-war?
No. We are trying to get to pre-war levels.
Where we were before.
Where we were before the war, right? So where we were before the war, okay, we want to get output to that level, but we don't want to get the composition of that output to the same level, because there was a small percentage of the people of the country responsible for more than 80-90% of output. So there was what called income disparity, right? So like the Gini coefficient was very high, okay, or the Palmer ratio, and those of economic terms mean the Gini coefficient is a measurement of how equal a society is, and the Palmer ratio tells you the income ratio, the 20% of the people at the top versus the bottom 40%. That's an important ratio. It tells you how the poorest are living compared to the richest in the country. So we don't want to do that. So, but all we've been doing over the last since 2003, is to improve output, right? So we were obstructed by the Ebola virus disease in 2014. So there was no real economic growth, positive, real sustained economic
during
growth
that period
until last year. The 4.8% growth rate. Okay, the 12 years of the Elling administration, you had economic growth, but the economic growth was mostly in the extractive sector. The extractive sector has minimal impact on the general economy because it has limited linkages limited linkages to the general economy. So you did not see the appreciable improvement in the lives of the people. And what I would call that jobless growth. Even though they had in 2012, the Ministry of Labor put out a sector only produced 800 jobs. The jobs that are being created over the last 20 years in the post-war dispensation is mostly in the informal sector.
The informal sector.
The informal sector. You see a lot of sellers in the streets. You see a lot of subsistence farming. And if you come to Randall Street and Macklin Street, you see all these people doing that informal hustling, right? That is bad. You need to do more wage employment. And how do you do wage employment? You have to process your output, right? So it means that the composition of GDP, your output, where you get your income, right? Most income in this country now comes from where? Mining and panning and non-food agriculture, which is rubber, and which is not being processed here, right? Sure. And then we don't have other sustainable industries that are growing appreciably. They're growing good enough, but not appreciably, like tourism, right? So where the base of this economy and where it has the most potential is agro-processing. Agro-processing and in the wood processing industry.
Many think this is long term.
But it's not. No, it's not long term, because you got tree crop, which is long term, and you got perennials, right? Which you can like the rice, the cassava, the plantain, and the edibles, and those kinds of things but you need to process it, right? And you need to so you're not processing enough of your agro output because you don't have an economic architecture to support agriculture. So in order to support agriculture, you need to finance agriculture. You need to finance the harvesting. Then you need to not even harvesting. The first thing is the planting, right? You plant. You need to
who need to set up these structures,
okay.
Mr. Jackson?
We
as in what?
We as a country.
Okay.
Public-private partnerships, right? So access to finance is a major problem.
A big problem.
It's a big problem. Okay. Access to finance can be solved by government providing incentives to the financial institutions for them, so then they can come in and set up banks like microfinance. Okay, get them some special dispensations, some tax abatements, and what have you, and also to put some rules and regulations in to protect the financial institutions. Okay, the thing with high default rates, we need to find a way where we can expedite the resolution of those cases in the court system, and we have to set up a reference credit bureau where people have to be identified, the collateral that they pledge to the banks, whether it is movable or immovable asset. Like for example, land. There are a lot of people who use lend deeds to 2 or 3 banks, right? Because we don't have a collateral management system. We don't have a collateral management system. So funding to agriculture is to develop the system, the financial architecture to support agriculture for food security. So you do the planting, the harvesting, then you have to do the warehousing, then you have to do the packaging, then you have to do the transportation, and along all those value chains, you're creating jobs, right? So the farmer, right? The farmer plants, then he hires people to harvest, then they build warehouses, they hire people to man those warehouses, then you hire people to package it, right? To process it, then you have truckers now to come and transport it, then you have retail and wholesale outlets to market those domestically and internationally. So that is the architecture that is missing in terms of agriculture.
Something seems to be fundamentally wrong. All these brilliant ideas, you've been around for a while. What is stopping successive governments from implementing these ideas?
They don't listen to people like me.
Why?
I mean, because the way it's set up is basically, for most governments that historically, it's just their friends or people they know. I mean, I mean, let's just face it, and then the people we elect too.
But you've been around for a while, and you've been close to most of these leaders. Is it that they feel convenient being your friend without taking advice from you?
But you see, the thing is, look, I write, right? I mean, I wrote a book 4 years ago. Okay, and this book basically, this is a roadmap on how not to build a country, right? Okay, and in 2012 to 2014. I was on the United Nations high-level panel supporting Mr. Salif on a role as co-chair, and I was one of the chief economists that produces Sustainable Development Goals. And the Sustainable Development Goals is the global, what we call the gold standard for development. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm here, you know. I'm a Liberian, and I have not just I, but the other Liberians just like me. So we need to bring the best and the brightest to the table. We don't typically.
We've had this conversation for as long as we've had it now.
Okay, so I graduated again from LSE last July. I in Liberia for 1 year. Who has called me and said, Sam, this is a project here. We want for you to go.
Have you written proposals?
But I don't have to beg them. You see, the thing is, you don't have to understand.
But you are buddy to this current.
Yeah, I am, and there are things we do, right? But when it comes to other things, that maybe they have other people doing it, and they feel they can do it better. That's fine with me, okay? But I'm not saying it's like I mean, you know, let this good player don't fight for Jersey.
Okay,
I'm not gonna go.
So is it that the president is not listening to you?
No, that's not. I mean, the thing is
the finance minister not listening to you?
No, is he? You trying to make this a political argument?
No, we want to.
It is not about me. But I'm sure they believe they
you have one of our best brains.
But hold on a second. But they believe that others can do it better than I. So that's fine with me. So I don't have to be there.
And you're friends with them.
But I'm friends with them. It doesn't mean that they have to call me to do everything because I'm not Superman. You know? So the thing is, but if it's a competitive process, I will win. You know? If, for example, like USAID and UNTP, they put out requests for proposals, and I apply for them typically. I mean, the UNDP, most of the reports on economic development, sustainable development, millennium development goals, I've written them for the last 20 years, right? I've done a lot of work for the Center for International Private Enterprise. We put together the National Economic Dialogue in 2019. So I'm here, and others are here. So if we want things to happen, we're going to bring our best and our brightest to the table. But unfortunately for Liberia, we don't have our best and brightest in the national legislature. The national legislature who's supposed to have oversight. You know, we do a lot of devious things in this country. Over the last 20 attempts democratic dispensation, we're trucking voters to districts to affect the outcome of elections. That is not going to be an adequate representation or true representation of the will of the people. So we have difficult challenges, right? In terms of our democracy. But I mean, you know, I'm sure if you were in America in the early 1800s, I'm sure they had some of those challenges. But we're a 5-year country. We should have gone beyond that. But we're still struggling. Okay, and the number one problem in this country is still mass poverty.
Mass poverty.
Mass poverty. How do you handle mass poverty? You have to develop a roadmap for prosperity, and I've written that.
And no one is getting in contact with you.
But it doesn't have to be me.
So,
it's not about me.
I'm a bit concerned because you joined the CDC and having to be part of the coalition. It said that the government is not concerned about best brain and they just want to
the government has their best brains doing the job. Don't forget, I'm 70 years old. Okay, now a choice between the opposition, which is feckless, and the government, who is dealing with the challenges, I'll be on the side of the government easily any day because after the National Economic Dialogue, and I was unhappy with the response from the government. I flirted with the opposition. I talked to Cummings, I talked to Boyka, I talked to all of them, and I don't see that they even have a grasp of what the real problems in the country is.
You think so?
Oh, because it is.
You mean the conversations you had with them?
Yeah, the conversation, but it's also manifested in their actions. The things they fight over. They're fighting over a framework document. They're fighting over who will be vice president like less than 176 days towards an election, right? They tell me, what is Cummings' economic development policy?
And you spoke with him. He didn't tell you?
No, but I'm saying, why shouldn't tell me? Tell the voters that, right?
But you are his friend.
No.
You were his friend.
No, I'm his friend, but we're not political allies, right?
But you were flirting with him.
Yeah, I was basically
and
trying
I
to find.
Those are the conversations you be keeping.
Yeah. Basically, we had a conversation. Yeah. But I'm saying to you is that, look, like Joe Boyka, he's supposedly an agricultural.
You said supposedly?
Well, I mean supposedly. But I'm saying so. But what is the manifestation now? What your education should be manifested some way. What do you identify with? I'm identified with Richland Poor Country, which is a 600 book, which is the seminal political and economic history of Liberia. I'm identified with the Global Sustainable Development Goals. It's something I did for the world. So, but what is Joe Boyka identified with in terms of what is his contribution?
Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
What have you done? What kind of magic wine do you possess?
I don't have it.
That have made you a friend of almost every government that comes to power?
Oh, because okay, don't blame me, blame God. So God gave me the qualities for people to like me. I'm a very likable person. And also, they say I'm a brilliant individual.
They say, and how have you leveraged that brilliance to the benefit of those who you are close to?
Well, see, but it depends. It depends on how somebody wants to leverage my brilliance and what they want me to do. In the case of Ellen Sirleaf, she put me in the high-level panel who produces sustainable development goals, right? And
so you were part of those who were just producing blueprints.
But we can't as a consultant, my job is not to implement. My job is to set up the model of implementation, but I can't do the project delivery, the project implementation unit. I cannot run that.
So Samuel Jackson was more like concerned with his perks.
No, I mean the thing is, okay, so we wrote the Sustainable Development Goals for the whole world. Okay, between 2012 and 2014, we put them, we canvassed the globe for them, and countries now have to follow that roadmap. It is not the place of Dr. Homi Karas, people Abhijit Banerjee, the Nobel laureate, and others like Nguela and Goza, who all of us who work on that. We can't go and squeeze the necks of respective governments to implement, because every country has to customize their own development to fit their special circumstances to be able to, for economic transformation. So we can't do that. So I've written a book. The book is 600 pages. I've sold 5,000 copies. It is not a magic wand, but it's a discussion document. It is a look. Development is freedom. Amartya Sen, you know that, right? So if we want to be free as a people, if we want to have a democracy, okay, a buoyant democracy, it has to be based upon economic prosperity for our people. Because as long as you have the majority of your people poor, the democracy that you have is only manifested in the vote, but it's not manifested in prosperity, generational wealth, for example, right?
In your opening statement, you made reference of growth without development, somewhere around the 1970s and thereabout. And here are we. The Minister of Finance has projected our GDP to be a bit up than what it was.
But the central bank reported 4.8%
4.8% growth
last year.
How has that translated? And besides that report, the Ministry of the Liberia Revenue Authority has said that they are raising revenue,
of course,
which in essence should be able to support our budget, which is the instrument used for development.
Right.
How has that transcended to the ordinary Liberian?
Great. That's a great question, right? And that's a great question for people who are about to go and elect people, a new president and the legislature. The way that this is a representative form of democracy, right? It's not direct representation, right? We elect representatives, and they are supposed to articulate the needs So the budget is supposed to be an instrument of economic growth and development, right? Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of legislature. We haven't had that kind of legislature for a long time in this country. We have right now a legislature which is mostly so say one, so say all. Every time you elect a legislature, right, in this country, and after 1 or 2 years, they all, even the opposition, they gradually move towards
the ruling party.
Gradually
to the executive mansion.
Yeah, but they all do. So now they all become buddies, and they take the $15,000-$20,000 perks, and they leave my Mary and my Wata there, and their children may not be going to schools with adequate equipment, like a laboratory, like a library, good hospitals. All of those things should be the prerogatives of the national legislation, where all appropriation originates in the legislature, especially the House. So if we make demands, because a country gets the leadership it deserves, this country, the way it is a complete manifestation of who we are as a people. So if we are messed up people, then we have a messed up country.
You seem to be blaming the legislature the most.
Of course, because
what than the executive?
No, the executive.
The president was elected, especially this
but,
one on a popular mandate.
You see, that's great. What make presidents work and what makes presidents work well? It is the oversight responsibility if all the branches of government carry out their functions appropriately. If you have a weak judiciary system and you're not resolving conflicts,
is that what we have now?
You will have, yes, we still have a weak capacity. Absolutely. Look, I'm not here as a Pollyanna. In literature, Pollyanna is by see no evil, do no evil, everything is great. No, of course not. I'm criticizing the government indirectly right now, right? Even though I support this government, but I see that they're doing some in terms of macroeconomic stability. We've done extremely well since the debacle of 2018 with June 7 and all of that. You see the turnaround in 2020. You're asking about COVID. Liberia, the case fatality ratio of COVID, one of the lowest in the world. The incident management team has done an extremely good job, right? Liberia had minimal deaths to the COVID and minimal disruption to our economy. So they've done well in those instances. I don't think the opposition would have done as well, for example.
You think so?
I don't think so. But what are they articulating? I ask you, you're one of the number one well-educated journalists in this country. I ask you to articulate.
I wouldn't do that for the opposition.
No, but not opposition. But just parrot. What did you hear Cummings say?
What are you hearing? What did you hear from him when you were his friend?
Zero.
That's
why I ran away.
You didn't hear anything from Baka.
All Cummings said he will increase the budget to $1 billion.
That's the only thing he said.
That's the only thing he said. No, but the only thing he said publicly. But look, the reason why Joe Webb became president.
Let me take you back to where you were talking about the status of the legislature and the judiciary, and you said that if you have those two bodies not functioning properly, the president will not function properly.
Absolutely.
So can we agree that the president is not functioning properly?
It's not functioning at optimal level. Absolutely.
And what's your definition of optimal level?
Optimal level is the potential versus where we are, right?
And what potential do we have as a country?
I think we by 70-80%. I think that's where we are. I'd like to see more than 90%.
Which we obviously inferred that maybe we should have a shift of administration, allow the president to go and rest because he's not performing at the optimum level.
No, it's not true. What you're seeing is that the other people that are trying to replace him is just like you beat, for example, Joe Baka, okay? They had Liberia, okay? They squander opportunities, right? They're out there, the voters told them to rest. So like a jealous ex-spouse sitting, coming to the window of the husband, okay, the husband and the wife, and he say, I won't come back home. But he forgot he used to beat his wife. Okay, he had 12 years.
This one is beating his wife too.
No, the one not beating his wife. The one is trying the resources that these people have in terms of the OECD, the Official Development Assistance. If Georgia had 50% of that, this country would be transformed. Because you see it, even look at the roads they built versus the roads that Georgia built.
What are the differences?
The difference is that the economic rates of return for those roads in the neighborhoods. Okay, and the
and you think neighborhood roads
Oh,
have
yeah.
economic return as opposed to the road leading from Monrovia to Ganta?
No, okay, great. Monrovia to Ganta is a corridor that was there. Okay, all we did we just did some improvement, right? But the railroad that she said she built from Cottontree to Buchanan, what is the ancillary or corollary economic activities on that road?
We have ArcelorMittal operating.
ArcelorMittal was always there. It's been there for a long time. But I'm saying what other in terms of like hotels, restaurants, manufacturing industry, and all of that. When you build roads, especially something more than 50 miles, you have to create. You have to create corridors, growth corridors. You have to have industries along those roads. So you have to, like you build an interstate in America, you have or in Nigeria or what have you, around the interstate, there are businesses around this interstate. That's the purpose of roads, for economic development, not just for a pleasure trip to take somebody's girlfriend from Monrovia to go to the.
Okay, before we go to the phone lines, great President George Weah, he's at the verge of going into re-election.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, I'd like to know, 1979, the country came to a standstill because you, as member of Progressive, believed that there were a lot of issues confronting the people, and you came to a demonstration of rights and rights. Today, we see you in bed with a ruling establishment that still has all of these things, over the Liberian people. There are people who are crying for justice. They cannot get justice because of some family members that were allegedly killed. And today we still see the same with the rice issue, where the price of rice, there's no control.
Okay, sure. Okay, so first of all, let's just get something straight. In 1979, April 14, the country came to a standstill, but I mean, just for one day. And after that, we went on with our lives. Okay.
It was due to a reason.
Yeah, we do. But okay.
The reason still existed.
But the institutions that we have to solve problems did not exist. For example, we didn't have a multi-party, different kind of tenor. In terms of the national legislature, was all so say one, so say all. All members of the legislature belong to one party.
And we still have so
say
one, so say
one. You are saying
now.
that you just admitted that the legislature is not performing.
But you didn't have a Darius Dillon in there. You didn't have a Yeke Koluba in there. You didn't have. So the difference is that, yes, this may be moving and shifting toward the presidency, but there are some independent minds within the legislature that put the government feet to the fire. But we didn't have that in my days. And then we didn't. Then the other important thing that you all have today that we didn't have was the freedom of expression, where Fidel said he can sit on the radio here and can express and articulate his views, and you can articulate those things what you're saying about the government and what have you, and no one's going to come and arrest you when you walk out of here. So that's the fundamental difference, because you cannot cross-fertilize views without democracy and without freedom of expression. And without freedom of expression, you cannot build a prosperous country. So we have challenges today, but the big difference is that George Weah is a populist president running a democratic dispensation with a media free and fair, with and we're going to have free and fair election. We never had any free and fair election in the entire history of this country, except 2005 was the first free and fair election we ever had, where there was a clear articulation of the political will of the people of this country. And George Weah, he's overseeing that democratic dispensation. On the other hand, I don't see the opposition, I don't see them articulating anything that will make me to say, well, we should change. So I'll go for continuity.
Continuity.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Continuity.
Okay, that's Sam Jackson. So how will you grade it? I still stick with this question before we go to the phone.
I told you I graded President B+, A-. Absolutely.
B+.
Yeah, B+ to A-. Yeah.
With all the crowds around.
Oh, but listen to me. Look, you have to scale the grade, right? Okay, we have to scale the grade because we look at...
On what basis is scaled the grade?
Because of the challenges that we have in terms of the post-oil drawdown, where or official development assistance as a percentage of GDP is extremely low. But despite that, despite the zapping of aggregate demand from the UNMID drawdown, domestic resource mobilization, where we have a budget now reaching 782 million, it's phenomenal.
And we're having what they call support. There are institutions who are still crying for allotment.
So
money not available in a budget.
Of course,
the budget are just number written there.
Well,
but when you're not servicing the budget, then there's an issue.
Okay, so those are
the issues that exist now.
So yes, also in every democracy, we have problems with in terms of appropriation. Okay, because don't forget the budget is a living document, right? It's a projection, right? And based upon economic activities, right? And it depends on how the collection goes. That's how things are funded, right? So if we have some glitches, okay, some things may not be funded.
You always have beyond glitches.
No, but I'm saying even in the United States, I mean, the budget never performs 100% as the way the projection. If you do look at the budget performance report of any government, any place, there's some degree of variance.
Okay.
What you want to do is to minimize the variance within the budget. That one needs to be done.
And you think your friend Samuel Tour is doing a good
job?
job?
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job.
Fantastic job. Okay.
Let's go to the line.
077
but I mean, don't laugh about that. If you look at the fiscal balance and the fact that we're not doing overdraft at the central bank.
Because you were stopped by our international partners.
Whatever.
Let's take callers.
Whatever is because of the Article 4 consultation, we are following the IMF program. And and the IMF is rewarding us with the program by giving us special drawing rights.
I wish that was long. Even though y'all were against the IMF before. Let's take this person. Good morning.
Yeah, Fidel, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, all right, Fidel. Hey, Lawrence again. Lawrence Spencer from Johnsonville. You know, the paper Jassy say right now, they will not see anything tangible from the opposition end. And the tendency of people hanging their coat to wear the sunshine, especially elderly people that are Jassy and that we look up to, they inspire us because of their prayers. It's not helping our country. Okay? I mean, this government has clearly demonstrated lack of interest in our people. And by Jassy, it's not for maybe some personal interest will agree with me. There's a government that came to bed since 2018.
Quickly.
We cannot boast of the single investor coming to Liberia to uplift the very people that Jassy is talking about out of poverty.
Okay, thank you. Spencer, let's leave it at that. Let's take another person here quickly. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Fidel. And good morning to your colleague,
Denise.
Denise Nixon. Yeah, Denise Nixon. And good morning to one of the brilliant economists.
Poker Roberts.
Thank you for that magnificent recommendation. This is Poker Roberts. And I joined you from a comfortable residence on the capital bypass. First of all, I would say personally appreciation to you and Denise for your tireless effort of making sure that the best information comes to the people to step of Fidel. But to the issue, I'm very serious almost. And to forward it to be on one of the bigger platform.
I thought you said you were going to the issue again.
Yeah, to the issue now, to the issue. What happened here is, I see people trying to lambast us to say Mr. Jassy don't have the independent saying. Fidel, you put a sentiment aside that every day we should lambast government. No. If we proceed as before, we won't be moving nowhere positively. Yesterday, Mr. Jassy was correcting the government on their error. Correcting the government. You want to next year?
Okay, let's leave it there. Let's take another person here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Fidel and Derek. You know, Fidel, that blow is interesting. The studio guy said the legislature is not performing. So I like the question you asked. Say legislature is not performing, that means the person is not performing. He told us yes. Then he went by, he said, I think around 780. He asked him for glory, then he said that B+. So as a journalist, your way is that to inform the people, please tell us the B+, why is the grading of B+ going to around 70 to 80?
Okay, but the man, yeah, you can ask in a minimum, tell you.
P+, not 70.
0770105. That's it. 077-105-100, 055-105-100. Samuel Jackson is our guest on the program this morning, and he's looked at a lot of issues in our country. Now, I mean, very quickly, Mr. Jackson, somebody raised an issue with her. But let's take this person first.
Yeah.
And I'll good morning.
But let me just make a statement. I'm from the London School of Economics. The grading system in the London School, 70 to 80 is A. So
Okay.
you must. So when you say 70 to 80, the question should have been, which grading system are you using?
look at the paper,
American? No, I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. I'm from the UK.
You just went to London School.
So but I'm a last education.
Morning.
Good
morning.
Mr. Jackson, you said it all. The government is making a progress. I mean, tremendous progress. And this is why it's deeming necessary to don't rest with the government. That's why being patriotic and nationalistic individual. And I want to applaud you for Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
To don't rest with the government.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I forgot again. All right.
Okay.
How you go back? Yes, our time is fast is gone. And we should just go on with this conversation over and over.
No, but look,
and as time progresses, the more questions keep coming to
no,
my
but let
mind.
me just basically say this. Look, I have cast my lot with President George Weah. Okay, I'm not saying that this is a perfect government, but I'm saying, in terms of the way they have turned things around, with the challenges they had in 2018 and 2019, Fida, you were here. The illiquidity within the banking system, you saw that. You saw the challenges with the people.
And we'll give 25 million to your friend Samuel to do mop up.
Okay, but say so all those issues there, we had all those issues there. But fast forward to 2023, last year's Human Development Report, Liberia has the highest life expectancy in the Mana River Union at age 64, higher than La Cote d'Ivoire. Liberia, in terms of the decrease in the multi-dimensional poverty index, Liberia, one of only 20 countries on the planet that had the greatest increase in it. Look, so there's still some challenges, and there are many things you can criticize this government about. But if you, in a democracy, freedom of choice, we have to contrast the opposition, what they stand for, and the challenges the government is dealing with. And I have made that choice that the other guys, I don't see them prepared to deal with the fundamental challenges of Liberia. I really don't see them. That's the reason why I've chosen President Weah, and he will get a second term to finish what he started.
Okay, Dennis, you want to close up with him?
Yes, just to close up, I know time is fast spent. I heard you praising the IMF. As an economist, how can you?
I didn't praise the IMF. I said we are following the IMF program. I have some philosophical differences with the IMF.
That's where I was heading.
Yeah, but we are in the IMF program, and don't forget, I'm a left of center economist, and I'm very adverse to multilateral development finance institutions and how they operate. The whole Bretton Woods setup. I'm very much averse to that. But this is what the government has chosen, and this is what appears to be working. The extended credit facility they give us, based upon Article 4 consultation, has stabilized the economy and brought us to where we are. Will it give us sustainable prosperity for a long period of time? I'm not so sure, but for now, the numbers do indicate that the IMF program is working.
We saw the harmonization, which was a bad policy for
us. You say it was a bad policy. Explain to me, what do you mean was a bad policy? Explain that. Because harmonization brought a significant number of people from the bottom up, and it did increase their income. Yes, it did. There were more people who benefited from the harmonization than people who suffer from the harmonization. And look, civil servants and unions, the whole labor relations, is always problematic. Let's just face it. Who doesn't want an increase in salary? That's what workers fight about all the time, right? Isn't that what this whole global economy is about? Workers' rights, workers. We stayed having implemented this workers, what do you call it thing? What is
collective bargaining
agreement?
No. Decent work bill.
The decent work bill. I don't know how we implemented that, but collective bargaining, we're doing it. We have unions here. In fact, there's a civil service union that represents civil servants, right? And we have our Gawu, Fawul, and all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so but that's good. But we have to close up with Summer Jackson. Time is fast spent, and
so finally,
how would you like to close?
Well, first of all, no, I'm just very glad to be here, back in my hometown, Monrovia, Central Monrovia, and despite all of the challenges we have, look, people talk about Zogos, right? And it's a major, and no one should try to, not undermine, but to make light of it. We need to have a well-articulated social welfare policy to deal with that, because that's one of the greatest dangers faced in this country. But the United States also faced with a great opiate crisis, as you know, amphetamines and opiates, right? We have limited resources to fight that, but we should find the resources. We should articulate a national social welfare policy to deal with that. Moving forward on this election coming, this election, every time any country is having an election, the politicians always say this will be the most important election in the history of this country. Nah, this is a run-of-the-mill election. George Weah's re-election is going to come, is going to pass. The sky's not going to fall down. We'll all be here in 2024 and doing the same things.
Even if your two friends come together. When the two friends come together.
Who two friends?
Your friends,
Waka and
Cummins.
Well, like it's just like asking me if my uncle, dad, titi, they were going to be my auntie. There's no way the two people are going to come together. It's not possible.
Okay.
But your man Costa, your friend Costa, and you know people who within the Unity Party, they were never allowed Cummings to come. So, and if that were to happen, it was so we're not going to exploit the differences between the people. All we're going to do is to tell the people what we're doing, what we will do. Look, the first 6 years, the first term of this administration was to stabilize this economy, right? And I understand that people people are spectators, but in the second half, after you cannot start giving out benefits to the economy when you're stabilizing the economy. So President Weah stabilized the economy in his first term. In the second term now is where we're going to promote real economic prosperity for our people.
Thank you.
Samuel Jackson, thank you so much for coming up to our invitation this morning. It was a pleasure drinking from your fountain of knowledge, and I'm very sure even those in opposition appreciate your disposition on the issues. Thank you so much. Denise, how do we close?
Yeah, that is how we like to close. And on tomorrow, we play host to Rabah Samin of the MOVE, right?
Yeah, Movement for Economic Empowerment. Chairman will be our guest on the program tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, guys, do have yourselves a great day. Remember, Liberia is the only country we have. Well, let's do all in our powers to keep us peaceful. Do have yourselves a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to our producer, Editor Smith, who had everything going on smoothly. Thank you.
You make me come back for more. I love the way you